Yeah. Addict's about to go. Yeah. Yeah, I got the both fingers. I mean, the other one's only 38 seconds. Great. Jesus. It's going in the wrong direction. an hour. Sometimes it's like it's going through probably a really like big part of whatever the drive is. As soon as it gets through, it's gonna start. It's gonna shoot through the rest. So slow mo. You ain't do nothing. I'm interested in your answer to this question, though. So topics: new Spider-Man trailer. Then second one, fire. Second one, new custom console. It's PlayStation bring no the console looks like the Okay, you already answered the question. All right, you already answered the question. I was gonna say you gonna turn, you gonna get. Yeah, I saw the controller too, and they're gonna sell the controller separately, so I can get the second one. God dang. He should be able to see it. You can't see us in the DPS chat? In the DPS? You see the waiting room? It's the one with, oh, it's the picture of Batman slapping Robin. Just go, yeah, he want to pull you in. All right, you. Yeah, we're his friends. We're friends. I do. It's super special. I feel blessed to be in the house of the Lord. What's up, Adam? Yeah, we hear you. Say something. Oh no, he just was talking. Yeah, so all right, so like I was saying, first topic, new Spider-Man trailer, second one, custom console, third one, Game Pass Core, fourth one, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 design, because of that. Well, it's gonna be on the screen. It's gonna be on the screen too, so you see it on the screen. PlayStation signs 10-year deal for only Call of Duty. The Xbox confirms to have fixed servers for only Call of Duties, and then the last one, Phil Spencer's email, ABK deal delayed until October. All right, let's look. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Forte, and this is Damage Per Second Podcast, episode 141. It's going to be a great show. Had a lot of stuff that happened, and guess what? Something's going to probably happen on Friday because literally for the last 2 weeks, we did DPS, and then literally something about the ABK deal broke. So I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft says, screw this October date. We're just going to close in the US tomorrow, slow-mo. It's going to be it's gonna be crazy. I don't think it's good. What'd you think? What's gonna happen tomorrow? Oh, and then then that would be, and then everybody would be even more celebrate, even knowing it's already pretty much over in America. So the amazing voices that you hear in the background is the first one was the man, the myth, the legend, the man of many slaps. The man still hasn't made us a video. We're still waiting for it. It's almost coming. We want a video from Slow Mo, but it will happen at some point. Slow Mo backslap, what's going on with you, sir? Absolutely. And the other voice you heard needs no introduction. He is one of the many, the few, the proud, the four horsemen of the Iron Lords podcast. Shout out to them and their 3,000 plus viewers they had on the show last week. It was amazing. I literally sat there and listened to them literally talk about an hour and a half worth of super chats from this amazing community. So, Lore Addict, what is going on, sir? Welcome to DPS. Really happy to have you here. What's going on with you, sir? Oh, you got both of them. Uh, they don't hear you. Why can't they hear you? My desktop audio is on. It is. No.
The time.
Hmm.
So they didn't hear me. So Arcade said we did not hear Slow Mo.
Right,
no sound. You can only hear Forte.
Listen, the man, the myth, the legend, the man of many slaps, the man that still ain't made no video. His name is Slow Mo Backslap. What's going on?
They heard that before. They heard that before. Just
what's going on, Slow Mo?
I'm not gonna repeat everything I said before.
Yes,
y'all just gonna miss out hearing about my glorious.
There has to be some kind of consequence, Forte.
Exactly.
There is a consequence.
The work I'm gonna have to do to get this on all the other podcasts and stuff. Every time Forte does this, I end up having to do all this editing. Like there's my video editing when Forte messes up all the time, and I gotta edit everything out. But no, it's gonna be a good show, man. Now that we got the traditional bi-weekly Forte mess up with OBS out the way, everything should be smooth sailing from here forward, crossing my fingers. But yeah, we got an awesome guest here tonight. Gaming Addict, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? It's saying before the podcast, the biggest reason I love coming on DPS is I don't gotta have a camera. So
Nope.
Almost every
ain't gotta comb your hair, ain't gotta brush the beard, they ain't gotta do nothing but show up.
The Addict Show gotta have a camera. Just about anything I do, I gotta have a camera. But not DPS, and I'm grateful for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh my god. Well, yes, typical Forte start. Shout out to the chat. Let's see. We got Bitchy Dies a Lot, Spider 8. Shout out to you, Arcade, Data War, Jay the Destroyer, Slow Mo Backslap, who's always here. Sometimes he's early, sometimes he's late. True Serum, Blade X.
I have not. Hold on. When have I been late?
If you're not here at 8:59 or a minute before the show, you're late.
So you're always late, then, is what you're saying?
I wasn't late today. I can't be late when I'm the host.
I'm
Can't be
always
late
here
when
early.
can't be late when you're the host.
Yeah, y'all don't listen. Don't listen to him. I'm always here early.
Shout,
Always.
30 below. Dwayne Prestige, shout out to you. Reggie Bone, shout out to you. Jada Destroyer, Omar, Dorian Gray, Reggie Bones. Really appreciate all you guys coming through. It's going to be a great show. Though, so first of all, what you been doing all week, Slow Mo? Haven't you know what? I know what you've been doing. Not really, but I'm gonna go to the guest first. Attic. Amazing show on Friday. Or not Friday, Sunday. And then another amazing show yesterday with your podcast. Tell us what's been going on, man. How's it feel to be a rock star over the course of the last week?
I mean, I wouldn't go as far as saying a rock star. You know,
I don't
we
know.
moving.
We
but
moving mountains out here.
Nah, I mean, I'd say small hills. We move in small hills.
Small hills.
You know,
Okay.
it's been good, man. It's been good. You know, the podcast is doing some moves. We also have you know, Yang Ye coming on this week.
Oh, nice.
That's gonna be interesting, especially after like the reception to his voice acting in the Yakuza games.
Yep.
So I'm sure the chat's gonna be messy on that. We all my personal YouTube channel has been doing pretty well here too. So you know, it's been
Yeah.
like all of a sudden.
Shout out to that. Hopefully, Forte would get that into the description, unlike when he did a video and said, "Yeah, go to Slow Mo's channel. What's in the description?" And it wasn't.
It is. It's at the very bottom of the thing. At the very,
It
very
was
bottom.
it was not in the description when I watched your video. But if you change it, that's great. Hopefully, we will have Gaming Addicts channel in the description fairly
I'm
soon.
actually adding it right now as you speak. So,
But while you're doing that, huh?
go slow mo. What you been up to? You ain't make no video.
Well,
We ain't got that. To
I have
look
an
forward
excuse.
to.
I have it. Wow. I have an excuse.
Is it the
though.
same excuse for the last 60
No,
days?
it's not. It's not. It's not.
So it's a different one.
Okay, look. The wildest stuff has been happening this week.
Kids ate my homework.
No. The power company's substation from my area blew up on Tuesday. And I had no power in my house for like a day and a half. In this crazy heat. It was pretty bad. I had spent a lot of time at my mom's house in order to get, AC and have the kids be comfortable. And I really didn't get, and then when the power came back, we kept getting all these weird power surges, which had me basically just unplugging everything that's like inexpensive electronics. I wasn't trying to have it like get destroyed. So I really did not get my power really back on where I was comfortable going back to my normal routine and actually working from home like I should have been doing until like today. So that's really been what's going on. Thanks to my power company, I haven't had the ability to do much this week. That said, I did want to just because we were talking about this a little bit before the show. Shout out to a friend of the podcast, Everborn Saga, with like the worst takes ever. But like, I think it's probably spent while I was dealing with no power. A significant portion of my time yesterday arguing with people who think that Link from The Legend of Zelda could be Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, and it's just like, this is one. First of all, this has already been determined by Death Battle.
Technically, the first time they fought, Death Battle gave it to Link for some reason.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
but
they
the
gave it to
second
the
time
they
they
gave it to
fought,
the
they gave it to Cloud.
well, they gave it to the Master Sword. Let's be for real.
Which is funny because the Master Sword is literally useless against Cloud.
I agree.
Makes sense, right? Cloud's not evil. So,
Like,
but
all the Master Sword really does is just become like a really, really sharp blade. Like that's literally all. Like,
which is still probably be sharper than Cloud's Buster Sword. Which is funny. He's like I'm talking to Everborn, and he's all like, "Hey, I just wanted to be a fair fight of skills." I'm like, "How is this? You said no summons, but then give Link his best sword and give Cloud his default sword of the game." I'm like, why didn't you just give him the ultimate sword or the ultimate weapon? Right? Oh no, that would have been like, Yeah, that would have been
be-
like for like. But come on now.
To be honest with you, Slow Mo, even if Cloud went in there with no weapon, he would still clap Link.
Oh, I
Like
agree. I agree.
the speed and strength between the two characters is a completely different level. Like it's not even remotely the same fight.
Well, the question is, which Link are we talking about here?
All of them, any of them, don't matter.
There's like 9 of them.
It'll be all 9 of them versus Cloud. He's gonna win.
Right. If you watch Advent Children, which is like it still looks good to this day, even though it's kind of old now. But like Cloud's almost like flying in that, like he does these jumps and he's just like in the air for like 3 minutes when
he literally fought Sephiroth in a building falling around them. Like,
Yeah.
The building was falling around them, and in order for them to fight effectively, he had to consistently break parts of the building to fight Sephiroth. Like,
I look at it like this, right? Could Link beat Sephiroth? No. Right? So but Cloud's beating
Cloud
Sephiroth
barely
like
beats Link Sephiroth. So
yeah, so he's just not beating Link. But shout out to Everborn for trying to rig a
that battle, Sephiroth and Dante from Devil May Cry fought once too.
Who won that?
Sephiroth. They said Sephiroth's ability to use such high level material, Dante couldn't figure out a way around that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Virgil. Virgil versus Sephiroth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they said that Sephiroth, even in his world, Sephiroth like always had high level magic abilities.
Yeah.
So like, what's Virgil gonna do that Sephiroth can't counter or heal himself from?
That reminds me, I've been resisting the urge to. I want to play through Final Fantasy VII Remake again, and I've been resisting the urge to play through it because like I want to do what I usually do when Rebirth comes out. I play through whatever the previous game is, so that like everything's fresh in my mind because I'm old and my memory kind of sucks. So like I forget stuff. And they'll be looking at like changes they had made and being like, wait, what happened in the previous game? So I was like, I always try to go back and then play the regular game, with the newest game. But I want to wait until like December to do that because I kind of figure Rebirth comes out in January. But I really want to play it now. I don't know, like it's funny because though there's a ton of games out right now that like I need to play anyway. Oxenfree 2 I haven't played yet. Partially due to my power issues this week, and then I got a review copy of Remnant 2 that I need to play, and I've done neither. So I don't know, but go ahead.
The biggest thing, people like the review copies, man. They be. I wish that the whole industry was a lot more open on just making sure everyone got review copies around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like they shoot them out in waves, and it's just like by the time like us smaller creators get one, like it's like you pretty much have to play the shit like a no life to be able to review it properly.
Right.
And it's just it's ridiculous. I've literally gotten a game 2 hours before the game came out before.
Yeah, and that's not like how I like to do a review. I don't do too many reviews, but when I do reviews, I like to be as thorough as possible. Definitely want to beat the game. I definitely want to like beat the game, and if there's any additional like post game content, do that stuff. I like to try to get all the like ins and outs of the game before I do a review. I want it to be as comprehensive as possible, and you can't do that if you're worrying about like, oh man, like embargoes. Like that's why I just don't even care about it no more. Like when I did my Elden Ring review, it was like I think I came out with it like a month after the game came out. Yeah.
I've noticed too, like going back to the actually let's go back to that conversation real quick. I'm looking through the tweet right now with the whole Cloud thing. The biggest thing people want to say Link has to his like a crazy advantage is his shield. His shield's unbreakable. Okay, let's see even that okay, I don't know if I can kiss on here. Let's say
we try to be family friendly.
Yeah, let's say that thing can't be broke.
Mhm.
Do we realistically think Link has the reflexes to be able to constantly keep up to how fast Cloud is?
No,
Like,
no,
can he realistically keep up with the Omni Slash?
no, he
Like,
can't. He,
it's just like
he's
you got
dead halfway through it.
unless unless the Hyrule Shield can evolve and like surround him like that
A
shield
bubble.
that's in like kind of like a bubble. There's no way that Link, he might be able to block one, but the second one's clapping him. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
now I will drop that conversation.
it's all good. Yeah, yeah. Everybody who thinks Link can win is there's normally a lot of like, and it's, I understand it. You know, you're a little fanboy of an
Oh
IP.
my god.
You know, but it's
No,
that's
no,
not every.
I agree with them. I agree. Anyone who thinks that Link has a shot in hell with that fight, I need you to get evaluated.
They're fanboying out for their boy. That's all. You know, they like
Oh
Link.
man.
And they want to come up with any scenario where he might win. People were even doing the whole Batman thing. You know how like with Batman, whenever Batman fights like Superman or someone super powerful, Batman always seems to win. But it's really just like writers creating all kinds of scenarios so that Batman always comes out on top. Batman always gets the opportunity to prepare, and he's rich, so he just like builds whatever he needs to build to beat the other person who's like completely unaware and they had no idea
Hey,
they're about to fight him.
Slow-mo, don't forget, he can't have no material, no summons. Like,
Yeah, yeah, but then people are talking about
Link gets all his abilities.
yeah, he links get all his stuff, but Cloud can't use summons. Oh, that
So
that
right
material,
there,
that's wrong.
right
Like
there, Everborn knows the answer to his question. That's why he's got to nerf the hell out of Cloud. And what's funny is even nerfing Cloud to that degree, he still destroys Link. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
Listen, man, as much as I am a Final fan, Zelda nut, this ain't a fair fight.
like it's like someone
It's not
said,
a fair fight.
even a dual buster, like the dual buster blade, it could literally not even be sharp, and he would still destroy Link. And he could throw that thing away and just go hand to hand, and he would still beat Link.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Link. Oh, I don't know, Zach. I don't know. Cloud and his max. Link and Zach probably could fight him at a good level. Even then, I don't know if they would win. But at least see, it would literally be Link getting clapped in 15 seconds, and Zach and Cloud are fighting.
Zach and Cloud are fighting. Would he be? Question is, would Link beat Squall?
Yes. No, he wouldn't be Squall either.
He wouldn't be Squall either.
No, he wouldn't be.
Is there
Squall.
a Final Fantasy main character that he would beat?
Vivi.
Oh. Hmm.
Vivi's too small, and
That's true.
and I do think the mirror shield would like absorb any elemental attack Vivi could throw at him. So any mage character Link could probably clap. Any mage character.
Yeah.
They had to have a
could beat
strong
Terra.
physical. They have to have a
beat Terra
strong
from six.
physical attribute to be able to beat that, but to be able to beat Link.
That's interesting. That was a good conversation. Thank you, Everborn, for making the first 30 minutes of DPS amazing, as it always is. All right, let's get into the first topic. Insomniac, PlayStation's #1 studio when it comes to like overall support of the platform, released a new trailer today. Wasn't expecting it. They released 2 trailers today. We're going to talk about the gameplay one first. Slow-mo. I didn't see it until I got home from work.
Okay, I didn't see the gameplay trailer. I only saw the story trailer.
Well, no, the story trailer. That's what I'm talking about. The story trailer. I
Okay,
mean, there's
so-
gameplay in it, so gameplay story trailer.
Oh, okay. All right. So I didn't know that if there was something different, but
No,
I
the same one.
look, you know how I felt about the first one.
I do.
Really enjoyed it. When it came out in 2018, that was my game of the year. Actually, I think. I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was a better game than God of War or Red Dead 2. I just enjoyed it more than those games did. So I'm really hyped for Spider-Man 2. I like the changes they've made with when they showed the initial trailer with the combat, and this just kind of just explains what's going on with the story more. I like the part where they showed Miles confronting Martin Lee, Mr. Negative, because he killed his father, and I just like it looks good. It looks good. I think there might be a little bit of trickery going on with, because it seems like if you watch the trailer, it seems like Harry is going to be Venom, and they already announced that Eddie Brock's not in this, so whoever is playing Venom isn't Eddie Brock. But I kind of wonder if like they're trying to pull a little switcheroo, and it's like not really Harry that's Venom, but somebody else. Regardless, at some point I don't know, like I don't think Venom's going to have a big role in this game, because I kind of, in order to do it properly, Peter has to have the symbiote for a significant number of time, a significant period of time before he gets rid of it, and then the symbiote has that resentment and then joins with someone else and then wants to kill Spider-Man. But so I just kind of feel like the trailer look good. I can't wait to play it. And I know the next topic is the custom stuff, the custom console, but that's all that's getting copped. Not the console, but the plate. The plate and the controller is.
Are they going to sell the plate? They are selling plates separately for. I mean,
Yeah,
we could talk
they
about
announced that too. Yeah.
Oh, so they are selling. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Gaming Addict. You already have Spider-Man. I don't know how you felt about that. I mean, I know you played them. I know that. So what's your excitement level on Spider-Man 2 after seeing this trailer? Or if you didn't see it, now that you see it on the screen, what are your thoughts?
Spider-Man 18 I felt was extremely underwhelming and overhyped to me. I felt like the iconic villains that was in Spider-Man were really poorly implemented into the game, and the story is just average at best. But when it comes to the gameplay, it did have pretty solid gameplay. What I saw in, Spider-Man 2 felt more fluid, more fast-paced. It felt more immersive. Like and I'd hate for them to literally just show us like the best part, most like immersive part of the whole game in that trailer, and then we just play the game and it's not like that for the majority of the game. Like, I understand like those moments ain't gonna be the whole game, but give me more than 2 or 3. Like, you know how these developers love showing you like some of the best parts of the game, and you play it and only like 30 minutes is like that in the whole game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think someone says Sinister Six. No, it's not about how it's not about them being in the game. It's about how they implemented them while you're fighting
the
them.
boss fights.
You had to fight them in 2 at a time. Like, you have some iconic characters like the Sinister Six, and they're making you fight them in duos.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand one trying to like come in and protect the other one, but it really felt like it was just like, we don't want to take the time or the money to give them like in-depth boss fights, so we're just gonna put them together.
I think it was like, I think it was Rhino and Scorpion you had to fight together, I think.
Yeah,
And
and then
the other was
Vulture and Electro.
Yeah, Vulture and Electro, yeah. So
And then not to mention Doc Ock, isn't that the last one, if I remember correctly?
yeah, Doc Ock is the last fight.
Yeah, his fight was so bad. It was literally, oh, he goes on the top, shoots this lightning thing. You walk around, stop, attack him. Does it 3 times, then you fight him on the side of a building, pressing 3 buttons, and then it was over. Like,
yeah, I think they may be better with the boss fights in this one, considering I think Miles's boss fights were better.
oh, way better. When you fought the Rhino at the beginning of that game, that one fight was better than all of the fights almost in the original one.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that they're kind of like 2018 was like their first like foray into it, and then Miles is like, okay, we have a great baseline, a great foundation. Let's like improve upon it, and they did that with Miles, and now Spider-Man 2 should be just like that next evolution, or hopefully will be like that next evolution to it. My only real problem with the first game was I felt it was too easy. Even on spectacular, which is the hardest difficulty, it was like super easy. And I actually didn't even use many of the gadgets unless I had to, for like a puzzle or something like that, because I kind of felt like his the various gadgets with the weapon wheel, the traditional Insomniac weapon wheel, and his web shooters was just, it made it just dumb easy at that point. So I really just kind of just like fought people straight up, dodged and attacked and all that other stuff. But like it was the only time it became anywhere near like difficult was I think in the DLCs they had, the DLCs with Black Cat and was it Hammerhead that was in them? But like those were, for some reason, which is like the difficulty level went up dramatically, and I was like, well, good, because like I would do some of those like where you gotta take down a warehouse full of goons. I would do the whole thing and not even get hit.
What
And I'm
was
just like,
what was the boss at the beginning in the bank where you had to chase him through this?
Shocker.
Shocker was a good fight. You had to chase him through New York or wherever the hell that place is, and you had to fight him inside that thing. And he like took the chandelier off and threw it at you and stuff. Like that's an immersive fight. That's what I want. I want to feel like the environment's being used. I don't want to just feel like they are programmed to do three things, reacting to whatever you do.
Yeah, that's. I didn't. Okay, I will say this. Slomo's been trying to get me to play Spider-Man forever. And seeing this trailer excites me a lot more to play this
You
game.
can't play Spider-Man 2
without playing the first one.
because you're just not going to understand what's going on.
Well, first of all, it goes against my whole way of playing games. If I don't play the first one, I don't ever. That's why I haven't played any Assassin's Creed games, because I've never. I played the first one and hated it because of how, just the fetch quest that it was. And yes, the other ones were better, but I just refused to play any of them because I just couldn't get through the first one. So I really want to play this game. So I will have.
Don't you have it on PC? Don't you have it on PC?
I got it on PC and PlayStation.
Well, definitely play it on PC, because like, why would you play it on a compromised experience?
I'm with
but
you.
like,
it's not like the worst game ever. It's worth a playthrough. It's just like when I hear people talk about it, like number one, 9 times out of 10, when people talk about, just the movement feels great. It felt good to be Spider-Man. I rarely hear about anything else but that damn sentence. Like,
right.
Well, I'm talking about all the things I like about it. But I understand what you mean, but like,
it's just like there has to go into more than the movement and the way the character feels playing a Spider-Man game.
Yeah, but a lot of people push back on, like, give them a Spider-Man game that was even remotely close to 2018. And I think that's where, like, if you're talking about just as a game, like, and I know that's what you're saying, you're not really comparing it to other Spider-Man games. You're just comparing it as a game for what it's doing. But, when most people, I think most people's pushback is there is no Spider-Man game that comes anywhere near what this Spider-Man game comes to when it comes to gameplay, overall structure, and story.
Oh, I agree. But at the same time, I'm putting this on its own merit. Like, I'm not comparing it to other ones. And if you want to really get technical, there's been good Spider-Mans out there, but nothing to like run home and scream about. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, it's like, okay, when you make this next Wolverine, you can compare that to the old Wolverine game, because that was a good Wolverine game.
It was, yeah.
So you can compare that and be like, yo, they should have did this better. But I don't feel like there's really been much that's, in terms of Spider-Man. I remember like Spider-Man 2, might have been 3, back on like the PlayStation 2. I can't remember which one it was. That was a fun Spider-Man game. But when you have this new technology and you have something like Sinister Six, I expect stuff to be to the wall. And a lot of the story was good. Like I said, it's an average story. It was good. But it's just like when it comes to just how the Sinister Six did this, and I really wasn't feeling some of the choices they made. But when I seen this game, I felt more energy and the character development in Peter in that like 5-minute video that I felt in the entire regular Spider-Man game.
I'm with you. Shout out to Ramon Terrell says, yo, that Spider-Man Day One looked amazing. Listen, I gotta talk to you two separately, Ramon, because you did the podcast with Brap yesterday, and I swear I was listening to Microsoft's funeral at that podcast with you talking about how you felt about everything going on. But we'll talk about that separately. I was listening to that show. I was like, why he sound like this? Why he sound like he about to like bury his Xbox or something? It's crazy. But with that being said, guys, let's move over to the next thing.
Before we move on, I just did want to say just something that like I said on Twitter earlier.
Yeah.
Insomniac is carrying PlayStation Studios.
Absolutely.
On their back. I mean, this is now going to be since the PlayStation 5 was released. We've had Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and now Spider-Man 2. That's going to be 3 games in 3 years. That's just 3 AAA games in 3 years. It's just unheard of. It's just nobody has the capability to release games at this cadence, but at a high level of quality. Like for example, and I'm about to use a developer as an example, but I like them. So it's not knocking them, but it's just talking about the level of quality. So Coco Cucumber, right? Who's made Ravenlock and they made Echo Generation. I like both of those games. I like Echo Generation more than Ravenlock, but it's not the point. Those are like pixel art. It looks good, but it's pixel art, which with a much smaller scale budget and a lot less like time it takes to actually develop that game and get it out there. And they're super short. Like I beat Ravenlock in 5 hours. I beat Echo Generation maybe in like 8, maybe. And I'm hoping their next game. I actually kind of wish Microsoft would like kind of take them under the wing and give them a bigger budget on their next game so that they may be able to do something that might be a little bit more ambitious. But the reason why I'm bringing them up is that they dropped Echo Generation last year and dropped Ravenlock this year. That's the only studio I can think of that can release games the way Insomniac can, but look at what they're releasing compared to what Insomniac is releasing. It's like on a whole different level, and it's just like my hat's off to them because everyone else at PlayStation Studios, not knocking them because they're just like normal development studios, and AAA games take a long time to get made, but they're taking like the first God of War 2018, God of War took 6 years to be made, and then another 3 or 4 years for them to do Ragnarok. In that time period, how many games is Insomniac going to drop? Like it at this point now, Naughty Dog is almost like dropping 1 game a generation. If you think about it, Insomniac is killing it though. Is that they just like Brian Easton and Chess said, they built different.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that 100%. The poll, Cloud with the Buster Sword 70%, everybody else 30%. Luca said in the chat that Cloud would win. Slow-mo. I mean, not Cloud. She says Link would win.
Luca don't know what she's talking about. she probably looked at both of them and was like, I like Link's hair better or something. I don't know.
Oh Lord, yeah. You might be a little right about that. All right, Attic. PlayStation, you already got a PlayStation 5. Did this custom console move you when you saw it? Are you going to pick up the console? Are you going to pick up the plates? Are you going to pick up just the controller? What is your plan of action when it comes to this system, sir? Or is it just a skip?
I'll probably pick up the plates and the controller.
Okay. What about you, Slow-mo?
I'm getting the plates and the controller. I'm at, like this is gonna be one of those times where it's like I'm at PlayStation Direct and I'm like waiting, like they're like, hey, we're going live with this stuff at 10 a.m. and it's like 9:58, and I'm like looking at the clock, like, Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
I'm making sure I'm getting one of those.
I think I'm going to, because I got the Starfield headset and controller, and
Mhm.
I've never really had any like custom stuff like that, and I really like the way that the console, like, well, King calls them wings, but the console looks. So, get those wings on there, and I'm gonna feel away if I don't have the controller with it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah, when I saw it, I ain't gonna lie. Well, first of all, I had the last Spider-Man system, and it's because red and black is my favorite color. So seeing this system, it's even better than the last one because the other one was all red with a white Spider-Man logo on it. So this is like more up my line, and I had it. So part of me, my daughter's been asking for a PlayStation 5, and I'm thinking like this gives me a reason to get a PlayStation 5, or you just give her mine and get
Mhm.
this one. So, but it kind of throws a wrench in because I really
But I
don't want to.
mean, you're really only okay. I understand getting it, but like buy it so instead so you don't have to go like doing a whole bunch of extra like taking out your expandable drive and all this other stuff. Just take the plates off of it. Just
That's what I was
give her
thinking. Yeah,
yeah.
just give
Just
her
take,
the old one.
but
I'll
yeah,
give her the
buy
new
it.
one and give her and take the
No, no,
plates and
yeah,
give her the
yeah.
old
Give her the
plates.
new one. Take the plates because like without the plates, it's the same system. So just take the
That's a
plates
good.
off.
That's why you're smart, Slow Mo.
Well, thank you. I'm just saying, just take the plates off, put them on yours, and give her your old plates, and bam, she got a new system, and you got the custom plates.
Now this was going to be a real quick topic because it's basically a yes or no. But just to take it a little bit deeper, we saw with Xbox they did an amazing Halo system. It's themed after Master Chief's armor, kind of looked really good. Custom controllers, and that seems to be more the route that Xbox goes with their custom stuff. They did do a custom Starfield headset that Lord Attic. Shout out to the man spinning in his chair with his headset on. It's great. It's entertainment, but I still don't think we get enough. And it's real interesting. Like you said, Asamiak is the breadwinner for the PlayStation 5 generation. And there's no dispute to that. And they're the ones that get technically the custom system, even though, and I do think PlayStation kind of set themselves up really well. And we talked about this, Slow Mo, like, when they first announced that plates were going to be sold separately,
Mhm.
that this is something they would do. They would have a game come out and do custom plates for it. So it's
And they
not
needed to because last generation, all their custom PS4 stuff outside of Spider-Man, the Spider-Man custom one, the all red one with the white
that
spider
was the only
symbol
cool
on
thing
it.
that it was all
That's the
red.
only that was yeah, that's the only good PS4 custom console that I remember. All the rest of them suck. Especially the God of War one was ugly. All of them have been hideous, and it's just been like now this is a lot simpler for them. They don't have to really do anything different besides create a new custom plate for a particular game that they're going to market. That's cheaper than having to design a whole like look of their already kind of weird looking console to begin with.
Mhm.
It's yeah, just make a new plate, and then for those who already own it, like you got to think about this: the people who like, oh man, that looks cool, I want that, but I'm not gonna spend another $500, $400 on a PS5 just to have that. Well, then they can just get the plate. And
Right.
that and so now you're generating more sales because those are people who weren't going to spend money on the console, but now they will spend money on some $50 plates. It's smart. It's a smart business there.
Yeah, it's very, very smart. And now for you, Addict, like I was saying and I never really mentioned this before, but I kind of was thinking about it when I saw this console, and I want to know your thoughts on it. Xbox 360 sold 80 million consoles, 83 million to be almost exact. And I know a lot of that to do with the fact that they just had great games, but a lot of it had to do with the fact that they had amazing custom consoles. Like we're talking about R2D2 console, we had the Gears of War console, we had the all green Halo with the gold disk drive for the visor for Master Chief.
That Gears of War console was beautiful.
Man, it was so beautiful. They had
Beautiful.
so many good. Like I know multiple people that literally own every last one of those systems, and you're talking about 5 to 6 custom consoles over the course of a generation, and that definitely helped with sales because there's a lot of people that bought those. What is your thoughts on Xbox or just custom consoles in general? Like, I think PlayStation's got the right idea because they do have the plate system. But what do you think about Xbox getting back into the, the custom console? They did it with controllers for Starfield and for a headset, but no custom console in sight for Starfield the system. So what are your thoughts on Xbox getting back into that?
Like what I've kind of been told and the way I understand it is it's a lot harder to do the Xbox Series X than they did the 360 and the Xbox One, because there wasn't even a lot for the Xbox One, to be honest with you.
Right.
So I think it's just maybe it's just like a cost type of thing. And it's kind of interesting that PlayStation chose to go this route, because you could argue that they're going to eat some of their sales, because there's a lot of hardcore that would easily go out there and buy a whole other console just for that PlayStation custom console. So, kudos to them for giving us the option, not making us buy one. I feel like there should definitely have been a Starfield console with the controller and the headset on the Xbox, but I don't know, maybe that's just something that Microsoft's not 100%, focused on. You could easily do multiple things, but it feels like Microsoft does more than one or two things at a time. They start stumbling down the hill. So it's like, if you can't do this for some production reason, just don't do it, I guess. Like,
yeah, and I know some people will probably be against this. I wouldn't mind if they use the S, because I can see how the X is a little bit more. It's more of a rectangular box.
I feel like that would upset people, though.
It would definitely upset people. I would agree with that.
What if they said, okay, we're not going to give you custom design stuff, but in Xbox Design Labs, we'll let you say what color you want your Xbox to be, at least.
Well, that's what we wanted with the Elite controller when they finally gave it to us.
I'm saying that, like, you can go and you can get, okay, if you want your Series X to be white, you can go to they'll charge you, and you can get whatever color you want on your Series X.
Yeah,
because I don't know. Maybe next time we have Jason Ron on an ILP, I need to ask him that. Like, what's the logistics behind that, and why, when it comes to custom stuff, or maybe we're gonna have someone else on the ILP here soon that I can ask. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's gonna be a great show, whoever it is. Slomo, you want to go ahead and answer that real quick? What's your thoughts on it?
On Addict suggestion or
just what? with Xbox, and you can also on his suggestion too if you want.
I don't know if I don't know if there's been just a kind of like a leadership shift of opinion on them as they've used to been, because like I see Dorian in the chat mentioned the Halo Xbox Series X console, but it's like you could probably say Starfield may be a bigger release or a more important release than what Halo Infinite was, and we're not getting like a custom Starfield Xbox Series X. I really just kind of feel like will much rather do a custom controller and headset or one or the other than a custom console. And I don't know why. I think custom consoles are cool. I think they for the hardcore audience, they kind of revitalizes interest in acquiring more hardware that they don't even need, but some of them just get it and they just have it. Look, I know people who bought the Gears console for 360, never played it, never used it, just got it as like a showpiece, like a something to have in their game room, and it's just people are into things like that. You don't have to make like a million of them, but just have like a limited run. You never know. I don't understand fully the production side of things. Like, I don't know how much it would take to take some of your like factories that are building these things and say, hey, we need maybe 20% of the production here to go towards making a custom something. And that's where I was kind of wanted to go to Addict's suggestion of like different colors. I don't know how everything is laid out and whether they have like the versatility to be able to do that. I would kind of imagine to me that whatever they're doing now in building the consoles and getting them ready to be shipped, they will probably need to do kind of redo everything so that in case someone says, let's say the three of us decide to get Xbox Series X's, Forte's is going to be white, Addicts is going to be red, and mine's is going to be orange. Like, where do, like, in production wise, like the people who are building this stuff, like how does that look in the assembly line of building that stuff out, making sure that when I get my console, it's an orange Xbox Series X and not fuchsia, you know, or blurple or something, right? So I wonder if they kind of feel like it may be too much. Something like that might be too much of a headache to be worthwhile. If like it may not generate enough actual revenue and sales to actually make it worth it. But I feel like just kind of doing that kind of stuff. I would like to see the industry, or at least the platforms, going back to doing things like that. I see Nintendo every time they have a big release. There's a custom Joy-Cons that come with it, and a custom console that all you yo-yos buy anyway for some odd reason. You got like 20 switches, for no reason, and you still only play one. But like that's just like, I think Nintendo might even be the example of why you continue to do stuff like that, because every time they do it, it sells out like crazy. And people jump on it like crazy. And honestly, every time there's a custom, like I remember the Halo console, Halo Series X, when people saw it, they was like, "Oh, that's fire!"
I wanted that thing so bad,
and that thing sold out fast. So it's just, it seems like every time it's done, they don't sit on the, except for the Cyberpunk one. That Cyberpunk Xbox One X was the ugliest custom console I've ever seen. Like the ugliest. And there, look, ugly garbage sold out anyway. So it's just like, do it. I mean, it's just going to generate you more sales. I just don't see why they don't choose to make that decision though.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think it's going to be this system's going to. It's, first of all, they said, did they say what retail? They said select retailers, which probably going to be Best Buy and something like that. Hopefully GameStop gets it. We never know. But we do know PlayStation Direct, PlayStation Direct's going to be the number one place. I don't know. Haven't made my decision on what I'm going to do yet. I might try to wait closer to Christmas to pick up hers and then just buy the plates, because and I definitely am going to buy that controller. That controller, I was like, yeah, that's it right there. But with that being said, let's transition over to some Xbox stuff, and let's talk about the death of the name Xbox Live. Addict, I'm gonna go to you first. Xbox put out a well, it got leaked the day before, and then on the official Xbox YouTube channel, they dropped a video detailing everything going on with Xbox Core and what's happening to the name Xbox Live. So great video, by the way. So please, why don't you give us a rundown of your thoughts on how you feel about this change, because you have a very interesting take that I didn't really expect you to have, but go ahead.
Yeah, so people have been going at me at my my comments, and the only thing I have to say is screw you. I'm gonna talk my talk. At the end of the day, I get it. People feel strong. All Addict, they're just, here's my thing. All right, so let's break this down. What did they do? They changed the terminology from Xbox Live to Xbox Game Pass Core. Well, what does Core insinuate? And when you look at the graph they showed you, it literally showed it like a tier system, like a Netflix. Like, this is what you get for this tier. You get this. If you get this tier, you get 4K. This tier, you get 5 people. They put it as a tier system. My issue with it is you go into the base one, which is $9.99, and it provides you with 25 games in Game Pass. It provides you with the online infrastructure. to play with people and deals with code. That's not an issue. I think that's actually a solid attempt to replace the Xbox Live Gold. My issue is the next one, and that is Xbox Game Pass, just regular Game Pass for console. Instead of, since we're putting Xbox Live now is called, it's the core for Xbox Game Pass, and that has online. We should just naturally put it in Game Pass, because now how most tier structures work is when you get the lower ends, you get all of the features from the higher ends. So now what's going on is, and this is going to happen. People sit there acting like this is not going to happen. Slow-mo. Let's say you someone in your family, okay, we're going to play Sea of Thieves or whatever that game. What's that game that just came out? Exo Primal or whatever it is?
Yeah.
So they're promoting that. Okay, let me get Exo Primal. Exo Primal looks like a fun game. So they just got through playing Call of Duty, and they get Exo Primal because it said they needed Game Pass to play it. So they click to upgrade to Game Pass, and then they launch Exo Primal to play with their friends. And now guess what it's going to say, Slow-Mo?
It's going to say you can't play with your friends because you don't have online multiplayer.
But they were just playing with their friends on Call of Duty 5 minutes earlier. So now guess what's going to say? Well, you can go back to the previous one to go back to online, or you can give us $5 extra a month to play online in the Ultimate. But there's more, Slow-Mo. There's more, Forte.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing a game cross-play with someone on PC, they don't got to deal with none of that.
Yep, sure don't.
And this isn't people, but they just changed the name. The changing of the name is everything. They changed the infrastructure of Game Pass. It's no longer its own little service on the side. Now it's supposed to be the entry level of Game Pass. And you get a certain feature in the entry level, so you should naturally get it on any feature that's below it that costs more money, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're right. You are absolutely right. Because if I have core, and I'm like, okay, I can buy Exo Primal for $60, which I wouldn't recommend doing that. But I could buy Exo Primal for $60 and play with friends, right? Or I can choose to get Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass, and have access to Exo Primal, but then I can't use it because I don't have online console multiplayer anymore. So it's just like, are you? This is what the whole thing is doing. The whole thing is doing is telling you to get to get Game Pass Ultimate. This is what they want. They want you to look at this, see the weaknesses in each of those other tiers, except for PC, because PC tier is just godly, right? And then say, I just need to get Game Pass Ultimate. So the ultimate goal here is get Game Pass Ultimate. So you don't have to worry about these problems that they created. They're problems that they created for you. But you don't have to worry about them problems. Just pay us more money per month. Thank you.
So a lot of this can, okay. The reason I said that I didn't expect, and I don't disagree with you at all. I think you eloquently said exactly what a lot of people people with half a brain are thinking. This is pretty much a carbon copy of what PlayStation did by renaming their subscription service to boost their overall subscription number. And now Xbox could come out at some point after September 1st. Once they convert everybody over, which I believe is on September 18th, is when the full conversion is. And they could say,
real quick, did you guys see Kid Smooth's W he took on Weapon Wheel last week?
No, I didn't. What was
At the beginning of the show, that announcement didn't happen, and he made a bet with Black Bond that that Game Pass would go over 50 million subs by like 2020 at the end of 2024.
Yeah,
then by the middle of the podcast, that leaked, and and Smooth was like, "Pay me my money, Bond. Not in September. It's gonna be above 50 million, Bond. Where's my money?" Like,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're going to do the same thing that PlayStation did when it came to when they merged PS Plus and what was the name of their failed
It's PlayStation. Oh, PlayStation Now.
yeah, PlayStation. Then when they merged them together, they were like, yeah, now we're like
PlayStation Essentials.
our
is the lowest
service
one.
that is similar to Game Pass has more subscribers because we now like you merged it into the bigger subscriber thing. So now they're doing that. What Xbox Live Gold had like what is it like 50?
50 million.
50 million people. You add that to the 20, I think probably 30. Didn't Sony say that they were at 29 for Game Pass? So now
Yeah.
that's going to be like 80. If you add,
it'd be
not necessarily
crazy?
80, because some of the people
Well,
who
no, it's supposed
have
to be like 10 million Game Pass subscribers just on consoles, 15 on PC.
right 50, you're right. That's thank you for correcting me. So it's going to be more like 60 ish would be what they're probably will announce in September is what the Game Pass numbers are. So yeah, that's a good bet by Smooth.
What were you saying? Adam?
If they actually had more members than we knew in regular Game Pass, like they're above 30 million already, and they announced like an 80 million mark when they do this conversion.
Hmm.
But
Listen, man.
yeah, that's what I was saying with I was thinking that too because they got 20 like 20 25 to 30 ish, right? In Game Pass, but then I'm not thinking that like the majority of those people are PC Game Pass, which this won't affect them. So you're not like adding actual new people to, from Game Pass to to that 'cause, like these aren't people who actually have that the other part. So it's like I think it probably will be more like 60, like 65 or something like that million. But we'll see what happens.
And I'm willing to bet you a good percentage of that gold that switches over to core will eventually switch to Game Pass because of the larger library. A lot of people don't know that stuff exists, especially they're doing this for when they put Call of Duty in Game Pass.
Yeah, exactly.
And they want those people coming over for Call of Duty. And I wouldn't be surprised if they put more value in the core like 6 months to a year from now. They throw Starfield in that thing. So, because what they're going to want to do is tease, yo, they've had this for a year on the other service. Like, probably, and what they'll do is they'll put more games as a service stuff in there because it's an easier to come into and it's got online. And I think that, like stuff like Diablo, I would expect to be in there, not immediately within like a year. I expect like a Diablo to go in there.
Right.
Because they're going to rotate them out. They'll put Diablo in there for like 6 months and then rotate it out.
And they're probably also will want to really push. You see here on the graphic, they don't have that.
Supposedly, there's a list of the game. Supposedly, there's a list of the games.
There is a list, yeah.
There is a
list. But they also don't have on. So they don't have that. You can get core for $60 for a full year. They don't have that because they don't want you to do that. They want you to do the $10 a month.
Okay,
that's more money.
So here's the list. You guys want me to read them out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Among Us, great game. I will say that. Descenders, I have no clue with that game. Dishonored 2, get some love to Dishonored. I love that. Doom Eternal, this is a pretty solid list. I ain't gonna lie. Fable Anniversary, Fallout 4, Fallout 76. Like I told you, a lot of online infrastructure. Horizon, Forza Horizon 4. So it's not 5. So they want you to upgrade to 5. I don't know if that'll work out very well. Gears 5, online form of game. Grounded, makes sense. Then you got Halo 5 and Halo Wars 2. Hellblade, because obviously they're going to want to cross-promote Hellblade to Hellblade 2. Cuban Fall Flat, great multiplayer game. Inside, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, kind of interesting they didn't put the first one in there.
Yeah, what's the first one?
Yeah, so they're just giving you the second
Blind
one.
Forest.
Yeah, Psychonauts 2, State of Decay 2, and Elder Scrolls Online. That's interesting too.
So there's a lot of live service offerings in there for people who will play things and with multiplayer with friends and also will spend a lot of time playing those games. Yeah.
My thing is just like, look, like if you want to captivate and give people to the ultimate, sell ultimate on other merits besides online. You know, when they buy Bethesda, Activision Blizzard, and King, put like a certain amount of WoW on ultimate you can access on PC. Like it's just like you can do more things, or if you have ultimate, you get all the characters on Overwatch unlocked. Like it's just like you can do more stuff than try to hold the fact that I can access my online at ransom to make me upgrade $5 to that. And I'm willing to bet you within a year they'll change that because I'm not the only one complaining.
So, what's interesting, and like I said,
real quick, how many people you think's gonna call thinking they could play that game, realizing that they can't, and then call and get a refund? Because it's very confusing for someone that's not keeping up with stuff like that. It's very confusing. It would depend if they actually tell you when you upgrade the features you're gonna lose. And marketing wise, they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna tell you the shit that you won't get.
No, they normally no one actually does that.
I think that, and that's the part I agree with. I feel like the overall the way that it's structured, it's like it's not palatable to just a person looking at it. It's like, oh, if I upgrade to this, it's not like the tier that I'm going from. It's just adding stuff to what I already had. It's like it's a tier. It's like I'm starting with multiplayer, but the next tier doesn't include multiplayer, but it includes a crap ton of games. And then you got the PC side of it that gives you both, and you don't have to pay for multiplayer. The ultimate's the whole thing. Like I said, to me, it's a reading comprehension thing. You just read, and maybe it's kind of harder for me to kind of think about it in a negative term because I know what base Xbox Live and what core is going to be. To me, it's literally what PlayStation gave you when you first bought your PlayStation 5 and they gave you those 25 titles that were with every PlayStation 5 console that they finally officially took away from people earlier this year if you didn't download them. So that's kind of how I looked at
Well,
it.
they're doing the same thing that Xbox is going to be doing with Core.
Yeah, with Core.
They took them away, but then they also provided you different games as well.
Yeah, different games.
But the one good thing I would say that Sony did with that was they gave people advance notice. So it was like a good 2 months in advance.
Yes.
Hey, these games are leaving. So if you can keep them if you want them, but you got to download
You have to download them.
And
or
it's
at
like
least put them in your library.
And if you had access to them for 2 years, if you didn't download them, that's on you. It's like
Well,
it was
you didn't really want to play them at that point.
or you really didn't want to play them, right?
So ultimately, Ultimate is where they want you to be at. If you're on PC, fine, because you're probably not going to play console gaming. So you are missing out on not a lot of them, but you are missing out on some of the games because PC Game Pass is actually smaller than the actual Game Pass that's on console. So you are missing out on some of the games there, but you don't have to pay for multiplayer. Ultimate gives you everything. Plus, it gives you
only reason
the EA Play membership along with it. But
the only reason that PC Game Pass doesn't get all the games that you would get from console Game Pass is just that the Windows Store on PC doesn't get all those games, and they try to mitigate that by doing what Epic Game Store has done by providing a better split to developers and publishers to put their games on there, which they have done, and it has improved things. What the biggest problem I had when they first implemented PC Game Pass and it was in beta was that there would be games that they would get, like third-party games that they would be able to pay and get that publisher to put it day one in Game Pass, but it wouldn't be day one on PC Game Pass because that developer wasn't going to put it on the Windows Store to begin with or the Microsoft Store to begin with. Therefore, you don't get access to it. So this was kind of like they've helped mitigate that. So now even if it's a third-party game, if it's going to Xbox Game Pass day one, it's also going to PC Game Pass day one.
Not gonna lie, I know some people will disagree, but once they buy Activision Blizzard King, I would love for them to just build Game Pass into the what's the Blizzard store again?
Yeah, BattleNet.
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 We all want
and
them to do that.
yeah, and just use BattleNet because I feel like BattleNet is designed for a gaming store. Windows Store is not.
Yeah.
So
And,
I
the
think
Xbox
that
app is here's the improvement. The games play better because it used to be that like the games were terrible, and it's the reason why a lot of people on PC will rather buy the game on Steam than play the game with no additional charge through the Xbox app. It has gotten better to the point where there isn't like a significant difference in the performance of the game, but the store, like sometimes it's like you load it up and you got a ton of updates you didn't even know of, games that need to get updated, or it's running super slow and you don't know why. Various other reasons, also mods like the I don't know if they changed that yet or not. I guess we'll find out when Starfield comes out, but like your access to the game files to be able to do mods and install mods is different on games that are installed through the Xbox app versus Steam
my
or Epic Game Store.
my biggest issue with this whole thing is like I understand certain games can't run on a console very effectively or very good because not necessarily good, just like it would be hard because you're replacing keyboard and mouse with controller. There's certain games that really need that keyboard.
Mhm.
Right.
That's fine. Those games, okay. What I don't like is when Xbox puts stuff like Gears Tactics, Age of Empires only on PC for a certain amount of time, and then after a certain amount of time they convert it over. It's like, look, if you're going to put your feet into the PC pool, just do both of them and just wait till they're both done. Because it's just like one thing I do like that they're really engaging into getting Call of Duty and stuff is I really hope they push more crossplay on everything, because with Xbox owning Call of Duty, it's easier to strong arm the rest of the industry to do crossplay and cross progression. So I'm hoping that they do that and they make sure that a lot of games, because it's nice when you could just jump on a game like Fortnite, Call of Duty, Warzone. I don't really play that, but you guys get what I'm saying, and just play with everybody. It don't matter what platform. PC's is on PlayStation 5 now. I mean, Discord's on PlayStation 5 now. It's on Xbox. Like, we're starting to tear these barriers down on where you play with your friends.
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
agree with that too. Yeah, it's interesting. The official everyone is starting to switch over on the 1st of September. 18th is when it will no longer be available anywhere. So the whole
Ironically, right before Starfield
right
officially
before,
drops.
yeah, right before Starfield officially drops. So well,
that,
listen,
that's well timed. I also just because it was on my mind. You guys have mentioned Call of Duty. Isn't it interesting how PC is second behind mobile when it comes to the percentage of people per platform that play Call of Duty?
oh yeah,
Yeah, very
It's
interesting.
good. I would say a lot of that structure comes from streamers. When you're watching all these streamers play, normally you try to go where they are because in your mind you can play games with them for some reason. And I would say like a lot of their viewership ends up going to PC to play games with them, or because their favorite streamer. Like, people don't realize there is a huge portion of smaller, younger audience that is watching these streamers like a cult.
Oh, I agree, 100%. I've always said that. That's what happened back in 2013. When the last Call of Duty hit
That's
for Xbox, and then the next year, it was announced that PlayStation had the marketing rights, and you had a bunch of the higher tier streamers and YouTube creators say they were switching over to PlayStation because that's where the Call of Duty championships were going to be at. And everybody went.
real quick. What's funny? Xbox and Crunchyroll just made a partnership for like 90 days. If you have Ultimate, you have Crunchyroll for free. Who owns Crunchyroll?
PlayStation
Sony.
or Sony.
People be sitting here acting like there's all this beef between the two companies. I'm sure Xbox didn't like the stuff that they did over the Call of Duty stuff, but don't get it twisted. They can make a buck together. They'll make a buck together.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
true. Yeah, it's just weird when people try to argue otherwise than that, but You know,
I could
only
just see,
in
I
time
could
will
just
tell.
see Phil calling Ryan after his like interrogation in that courtroom. It's like, so how was that court here?
Wow.
It
Shout
was,
out. Shout out to the homeboy Dragonheart Yobi with the 9-month resupply of his membership
Yobi.
for the 10%ers. Shout out to the DPS podcast. Really appreciate you, bro. Let's move on to the next thing. So Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. A lot of leaked information came out about what's going to be happening with this year's Call of Duty. Supposedly it's only going to be a basically Modern Warfare 2 .5 update to the game, but they're changing a lot of stuff where they're changing like the way that the reticles react. They're changing the speed of the game, just the overall recoil of the game. Like in slow mo, I want to go to you first because you are the man that keeps killing people with the KDs that go above 10,000. What is your thoughts on what they are actually, if this is true, what is your thoughts on how they're basically rolling out Modern Warfare 3 on top of what happened with Modern Warfare 2?
I saw some of the rumored changes. The one that really caught my eye was attachments. Not having negative attributes to them. I thought that was kind of like a it's pretty interesting. It would be probably a welcome change for the hardcore Call of Duty community. I'm not one of them. I mean, I'm a hardcore first person shooter guy or shooter guy in general because I play a third person shooter as well. So I just dabble in Call of Duty from time to time. You know, I have a well positive KD isn't important. It's just I dabble. I'm not big into the Call of Duty scene like that. But I from what I've seen from a lot of people who are like hardcore Call of Duty fans, these are the things that they wanted. They wanted from Modern Warfare 2. And so it's going to be a welcome change. I do wonder why the version for this year went from being a big expansion for last year's game to its own full-fledged game. I kind of wonder if contractually Activision did that so that they could get closer to ending whatever partnership they had with Sony to either potentially do with the acquisition to Xbox, or if it failed, to renegotiate a new deal with Sony, getting themselves closer to getting this deal over so they can negotiate better terms, or just get out of it completely since they'll be acquired. I just kind of wondered, like, why did they turn this into a full-fledged release when they had initially planned not to? Either way, I think I'll be playing it this fall. So
Yeah, Addict. So for if you didn't see the article, well, not the article, the tweet that we're talking about, it was some dude. Trust me. It was Modern Warfare 3 will very much feel like Modern Warfare 2.2, but the game will step back from some of its late typical Infinity War designs choices, from red dots, slower movement, ADS attachment penalties. Design is expected more colorful, but the map design, and then dot, and he left everybody on a cliffhanger with the maps. He said he'll discuss that stuff later. I know you're not the hugest of Call of Duty fans, but especially with Xbox and the whole Activision Blizzard deal, hopefully done within the next 2 months, and we can like leave this in the dust. What are your thoughts on just Call of Duty, the direction that they're going on, and what do you think about some of these changes, if this is true, what they're actually going to do with this title when it was supposed to just be like kind of a smaller release, but now they're turning it into kind of a full-fledged release of the game?
yeah, I mean, when it comes to that, I go off of like what the personas and Jabari's want. Like,
Yes, sir.
I saw like them butcher my Final Fantasy with whatever the hell they called 16, and it's just like,
You got some
I
L's out
don't.
here for saying that, bro.
I mean, they can take L's because I give just as many as I take. So
Let's go.
it like I'm not the biggest fan of Call of Duty, so when it comes down to it, I don't want to really speak too much in deficits. Like Call of Duty just isn't for me. And I'm not trying to change Call of Duty to be for me, and then it ends up changing the game away from what everyone loves Call of Duty now for.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like I'll play something else. It's because I saw what happened with Final Fantasy. Like I love Final Fantasy. 16 was okay, but it just wasn't a Final Fantasy game to me. And it's just like that's what happened with Final Fantasy. They continued to adapt to what the audience wanted Final Fantasy to be, and I feel like they lost their way at some point. And then people say, "Well, turn-based just isn't what it used to be." That's not what Persona says. That's not what Dragon Quest says. That's not what what's that? The Yakuza Like a Dragon that scored really good, sold really good. It's like Square Enix jumped off the hill by themselves. They didn't try to tighten up the reins. They jumped off the hill by themselves.
So you would rather like you would have rather had a Final Fantasy that was turn based, or just not fully the combat system that they had in 16?
I would prefer turn-based, but I'm not against just finding something that works. I felt like Final Fantasy VII Remake worked,
Yeah.
you know, and I think
feel 7 Remake's combat is perfect. I love it.
Yeah, but see, for some reason they abandoned that combat in 16.
I think
it's.
I was going to say real quick. I feel like it's about execution. Like I feel like I enjoyed the combat in 16. I do think it's still a Final Fantasy game. I just don't. But I do understand people who feel like, especially when it comes to the very, very light RPG elements of the game, the not using like elements for weaknesses and certain things like that, for the combat to be centered around stagger and staggering the enemy.
You can argue, Slow-Mo, that the stagger system is what ruined Final Fantasy. I feel like ever since I know, I'm just saying it's stagger system in general. Ever since they implemented that in Final Fantasy 13, I feel like they do now to make like enemy creatures and boss creatures in general like more unique compared to the previous one. Oh, we'll just give them more health so they have to stagger them an extra time. So I do think that, you know, when that stagger system, it could have went a good way or a bad way, and I feel like every game they've improved it to a point, and then they ruin it the next game.
Yeah, I mean, here's the wild thing though, right? This is since maybe Final Fantasy 9. This is the first 16 is the first one I've enjoyed since 9. So it's just like
I like
everyone
10. 10
is
was one of my
everyone's
favorites.
gonna and a lot of people like 10, but like everyone's gonna have a different feel for it, especially when you do things differently. And I never want to hinder creativity of developers and their opportunity to do things new. This is kind of how I feel about like 343 and Halo. Like I just want them to just basically tell the Halo community to shut the F up, and we're gonna make our game and just make your game.
And the funny thing is when it comes to like when it comes to 343, I feel like they had something in 5, and because of the community, they abandoned all of that and didn't try to tighten up that formula any.
Yeah, but I do think the gunplay in Halo Infinite is the best gunplay they've ever developed. I think it's amazing. It's up there to me. It's up there with what Bungie created with their games. It's very good. I just think that like they're never going to satisfy a lot of the hardcore Halo community that like some of them don't want sprint. Like what year are you living in?
I agree.
Just go play
I agree on that.
if that's your thought. And I don't feel me being a much bigger at this point Halo fan than I am a Final Fantasy fan. I don't have that kind of aggression towards the Final Fantasy community that's dissatisfied with 16, but I do kind of feel like it's not really that they didn't do turn-based again, is that what they chose to go with didn't resonate with some people. Because if you really execute on something so well, like we'll take Final Fantasy 7 Remake, where a lot of people didn't like that it wasn't going to be turn-based, and then they played it and they was like, oh, well I like that though. You know, so it's like the execution really is what it's about.
And the funny thing is, they would have did the elements right, and I know we've completely went off topic, but
No,
Yeah.
no,
if
you're
they would have
good. You're
if they would have
good.
did like the elements how they were supposed to, like a Final Fantasy games generally does, you could have put that to lore wise, where someone was like, "Sheva, come here, help me fight." You know, what one of them probably if I don't know. Sometimes they're weird on what's weak to what, but it's like there's certain people that would have been weak to other summons, and they'd be like, "Nah, I can't fight that person. I won't win." Like, so it's just like I just like once again, and I got really attacked for it. I said my concern with 16 is it looks like they put so much, and they did the same thing with 15. It felt like they put the majority of the budget behind how we're going to implement the summons in the game, and didn't care about nothing else but that.
Well, I think they cared about the story more because
No,
15
I
story
think
is.
that's I
Ugh.
think that summon was the number one focus. It doesn't mean that like I haven't finished 15, but I've been told 16 stories like way better than 15.
16
So-
story is light years better than 15 story.
Well, it didn't really take much to do that too, but it's just like I
True.
said, there's nothing like extremely
You
wrong
ain't
with,
like
with
Ignis's story.
nah, like there's nothing extremely wrong with Final Fantasy 16, but it's like I feel about like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, and Fallout 4. They're great games. They're just not good Fallout, Zelda, and Final Fantasy games.
Watch your mouth, sir. Watch your mouth. What is your favorite? What is the best? What is the best Zelda game?
Probably I don't know. Like when it comes to that, like I really like Link to the Past. Ocarina of Time was really good. I'm
It
like
depends
one
on
of
the
the
type of game you like. The
I-
style.
I would say probably the one that resonates the most with me is probably Ocarina of Time.
Same.
I really like Twilight Princess though. I know a lot of people didn't like that a whole lot, but I really enjoyed Twilight Princess.
Yeah, it's hard for me to still get past Ocarina as much as I love the Breath of the Wild series.
I don't
make me fall asleep over here talking about
I
Zelda.
consider Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom just games that's taken place in the land of Hyrule. That's all I consider them.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I can't disagree with you there. Slow mo.
Don't ask me no Zelda questions because you already know I got nothing.
Moving on, then.
Don't ask me a single
Moving
Zelda
on.
question.
Moving on. So a lot of stuff happened over the weekend. We had the CMA fall apart, it officially fall apart and have all their stuff denied, and the mergers and acquisition lawyers and all of the people in the community were lawyers for a day, and they all had something to say. And we're gonna get to like exactly what's happening with that towards the end of the show. But in the midst of all that, Phil Spencer on a Sunday. Was that on Sunday? Addict? I think that was Sunday. It was. It's so weird because it happened on a Sunday, on the Lord's Day, on the day that King was gonna let everybody know that the war was almost over. Came out and said
And
that
he
they
officially announced that the war is over.
Announced that PlayStation signed a binding deal. At first, we didn't know the actual length and terms of the deal, but a lot of information came out once again on a Sunday. These lawyers were working overtime that day, and they signed a 10-year deal. And it was only after we found out for Call of Duty. First thing I want to ask is this really an L? Because if I remember correctly, the initial 10-year deal had them getting everything from Activision Blizzard, not just Call of Duty.
It's definitely an L.
So what is our thoughts on how this all shook out? I'm going to go to you first, Lomo.
It's definitely an L, and it's an
L.
L.
Jim Ryan played himself. That's all.
Yeah, look, he gambled and he lost. This is what happens when you take that option, and it's like, I mean, he probably knew the risk. He probably knew the risk when he went there. He had the option to have X amount of years. I don't know if it was 10 years or not, but he had the option of having all of Activision and Blizzard games. And then and I understand negotiation tactics. You ask for things that you don't really want, so that when in the midst of negotiating, you give up the things that you never really wanted anyway, but you pretended that you did in order to keep the things that you actually do want. But then
Right.
jumping, to the notion that you can now try to get Bethesda games back was a bridge too far. And it's just he fought a good fight. You went to all the regulators. You flew across all across the world. Tried to get the
Do-
deal blocked,
Real
like
quick,
he
do you
said
think
he was
that
doing.
real quick, do you think that was the one of the goals from the start was try to get the Bethesda games back?
No, I don't even think he really thought he was going to get that. I think he proposed that as something that he would take away later on in order to make sure he didn't have to give up something in negotiating with Phil that he actually did want to keep. So it's
Right.
kind of like let's say if you and I are negotiating and I got 5 things I tell you I want, but I really only want 3. By the end of the negotiations, if we're shaking hands, I'm hoping I'm keeping the 3 things that I really didn't
Or at
want,
least 2 of them.
or at least 2 of them, right? That's why I think he
He didn't get
over
none of them.
proposed in order to try to end up with more than he actually could get, and then instead
What's
Phil just said, I'm not going to negotiate at all, and we'll see how this rolls out in court, and then he lost. So now this is what he
he
gets.
pulled the I
He just
see
gets
your
Call of
ass in
Duty.
court.
And this is what he gets. He just gets Call of Duty. He doesn't get anything else, doesn't get any of the Blizzard games, doesn't get if anything else that Activision may make, he doesn't get that stuff either. And so, yeah, you lost because a year ago you could have had more than this, and now you don't. So you still get Call of Duty, which they have to give you. I mean, Phil sat in court and swore he would do that. So he's not going to go back on it. But you could have had more than that, and I'm pretty sure that he knows that, and he knew that at the very end of it all, if we lose, we'll still just get Call of Duty, but we'll try to get everything else. And so he took an L, but I think it's an L he knew that he could potentially get. So, yeah.
Attic, what about you?
I think Jim Ryan, he played himself. I think he generally thought that I think when it first started, because you saw it, the emails when it was first announced, Jim was like, "Oh, I'm not scared. We good. There ain't nothing wrong with this." And then I feel like he started seeing, because he gonna make his own little statements, and I think he started seeing the waves that he was making doing them, and then he got in his head, I can get this canned. I can get this blocked. So then I think he went into let's get this blocked mode. And I'm just curious if he assured PlayStation anything. It's like, oh, if you don't sign that deal, I can get the whole thing blocked. You know what I'm saying? I'm very curious if they didn't take that deal because they didn't want to take that deal, or they didn't take that deal from a third party, like Jim telling them not to take the deal that he thinks he can get it canceled. And imagine going to the back into the meeting room and be like, Phil's lawyers toss over that piece of paper in the PlayStation people, the ones above him, and look at that and it's like, this just says Call of Duty. Oh, you didn't like the last deal, so we thought you'd like this deal. It's like, this is what you wanted all along. And so, I do think he generally thought he can get that canceled. I generally do think he thought that with his connections in those regions that he could use that leverage to leverage the entire thing to not happening.
I think, I mean, let's be for real. He was fighting from a position of strength, especially when you had, the FTC coming out here saying that they wanted to, pretty much go against any big tech, pretty much you're talking about Microsoft at that point, $1 trillion companies, and blocking acquisitions and mergers and stuff like this. And then, PlayStation being at its best in the European markets and all these different other places. They thought they had a really, really good chance of doing that. That's why you saw a lot of the conversation, especially from us, when it came to just the conversation that was being had during the proceedings, that it seemed like it was more about protecting PlayStation than the actual deal itself. Like, and it took a judge that, let's be for real, doesn't know everything about gaming, but I felt like they use not they just use common sense. Some of the stuff that she said is like, well, if this game is on Game Pass, PlayStation has games like God of War. Why aren't they on Game Pass? You would think they would do something like that to compete. And I was like, that's interesting. That's something that we think all the time. And not saying that's something they should do, but that's what competition does. It makes you do things that you normally probably wouldn't think about doing. And I think that's kind of the thing that happened over the course of time. So I never will be upset. And I never told anybody that Jim Ryan was a fool. I never call him Jim Ryan, Lying Ryan, and all this stuff, because
he just made a gamble and lost.
He did what he was supposed to do as the CEO of PlayStation, as the head of PlayStation. He made a gamble and he lost. He was supposed to make that gamble, because if he didn't make that gamble, it would probably be even more fallout. But I am interested in the thing that you said, Addict. How far up the chain did not signing that deal go? Because could there be repercussions and stuff for not signing the deal and then losing out on all this stuff? And I guess the last thing I'll ask you around just this topic in general is, would Xbox actually not release those games on the PlayStation platform? Like, will we see, like, I mean, Phil Spencer talked about Elder Scrolls and stuff like that, said that game's too far out for us to like kind of talk about. Or what about the next MMO that's coming out from Blizzard? We think it's a live service game. Is that something they can actually not put on PlayStation? What do you guys think about that?
I think
they
it's
don't
definitely...
have to.
Sorry, I'm just getting back. Sorry,
I think
kids.
You're good.
I think MMO style games as a service style games, those will be on all platforms. But I do think they're looking at stuff like Crash, maybe potentially bringing Spiral back, maybe a prototype in the future, depending on how well they do things. I feel like they're looking at those and like they ain't going nowhere. Like those are ours now. Like,
what you think, Slow-Mo?
I have no idea, because I literally, like I said, I just got back, so I don't.
We're just talking. No, we're just talking. No, just asking. Like how, since the deal is only for Call of Duty and not all of Activision Blizzard, do we think that there is actually a chance that Xbox would not release these games on the PlayStation platform? Because it's at their choice at this point now.
I think they'll release stuff on there that is, like, if they come out with an Overwatch 3, I think that has a high likelihood of also showing up on PlayStation, because that's a game that you're really relying on having a big community, and you want more players to play the game. And so you're also going to have, because that game has Overwatch 1 and 1.5 really, because Overwatch 2 really is the same game. But like this game already has a player base on PlayStation. If you chose to do an Overwatch 3 and you didn't put it on there, for a game that's really been like actually a long-standing game and not an annually released game like Call of Duty, you have a higher likelihood of not getting those people to switch over. So I think that for some of their games, they will be like that survival game that that the Blizzard devs have been talking about. They're really excited about. That's probably going to be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. Anything else that they're making that's single player oriented likely would be exclusive. But who knows? I kind of feel like it's not that big a deal, because we're not going to really see these games anytime soon. Like it's with the way AAA development is, and with the release cadence of Blizzard being what it's been, and the fact that Activision really doesn't release much else outside of Call of Duty every year, like, who's going to be making these games?
Right.
So it's just, and then by the time they do get into development to make those games, you're looking at a good like 3, 4, 5 years before they come out. We're talking about next gen at that point. So it's not. I really, as of now, don't really think it's that big a deal. but we'll see how it turns out in the future.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So I made a change on the last two topics. I flipped them around because I don't know what I was thinking. We were talking about the 10-year deal. I might as well, put that right into the Phil Spencer emails and talk about the email that he sent over, and then just the deal being delayed to October 18th of this year. And I got the email right here. Read it to you guys. Extending the close date of the ABK deal sent from Phil Spencer to the gaming, pretty much everybody at Microsoft and their leaders, and then Jamie and Brad Smith were copied on it. It says, Team Microsoft and Activision Blizzard remain optimistic that we will get this acquisition over the finish line. So we have jointly agreed to extend the merger agreement to October 18th, 2023. While we can technically close in the U.S. due to the recent legal developments, this extension gives us additional time to resolve the remaining regulatory concerns in the UK. I want to thank everybody for their time and energy and support of the regulatory process and all of the great work coming to fruition for Xbox this year. Players around the world will be delighted with the incredible lineup of games launching in the next few months, including Starfield and Forza Motorsport. It is also great to see the fantastic work the APK team are delivering for their players with the successful launch of Diablo 4 and the ongoing performance of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. We congratulate them on their accomplishments. As we move even closer to the finish line, we are more excited than ever before about furthering our mission to bring more games to more players everywhere. Phil Spencer. So, first, the deal being extended to October 18th, 2023. A lot of people are saying this really does open up a scenario where the deal isn't a slam dunk anymore, and it feels like every other day.
It's over.
I think the deal's
I
over.
don't know. I don't
think the
know
deal's
what,
over, but
these people are thinking that think that this isn't over.
I,
They extended it. Look, if the CMA is just blowing smoke and really not serious about negotiations, they'll just close over the CMA.
That's what I.
This isn't going to October 18th. It's
No.
not going to the deadline again. They will just close the deal. The FTC is already pretty much
I think they're going off good faith right now.
Yeah, and I don't, if the CMA they say oh, but due to whatever changes that they have discussed that haven't been public yet, I don't think that they have to now start from scratch at phase 1 again. I mean, they already have the information they need for the majority of this. They don't need to do the whole research thing all over again. Ask the companies in the industry to give their opinion all over again. A lot of the stuff that took a long time doesn't need to be done again. So this process should be shorter, despite them starting over again. That's it. I think the end result is the CMA still saying no. They're just going to close over the CMA and keep it moving.
Yeah.
I actually kind of thought they were going to just close over the CMA this week.
I think the CMA is going to close. I think they'll approve it, because to me they have to have some form of communication right now to not just close it. I feel like their lawyers have talked and they've come up with at least some outline of an agreement, and it's so promising that Microsoft was willing. Because obviously anything can happen. They could find a loophole between now and then to try to stop them from closing. But I think Microsoft willing to take that risk because they see that if this deal's outline is promising enough where they can finish it and not have to upset any country, they're willing to do that.
Right, because they're not done. They're definitely going to continue acquiring or attempting to continue acquiring more publishers and developers. So they don't want to piss a regulator off with this one, and then could potentially make it even harder for them, even though I think it's going to be harder for them regardless of that. I don't think they really have. I think any publisher they may try to acquire that would cost over 10 billion is out of the question for them at this point. I think the way the regulators are, the way the FTC is making changes now to try to better combat against these kind of acquisitions. I think they will be to fly under the radar and not have all this drama, they'll have to like acquire a much smaller publisher like a Bandai Namco, or like just like straight up big development studios, or like others just studios, because it's just anything bigger than that, and they're going to be fighting them even harder tooth and nail. And now that they've got these regulators and other people in other industries
And
attention on gaming.
imagine too if like because they got money, they bullied themselves to win.
Mhm.
And now when you go to buy, so let's say that Dustin's right and they try to go after a Take-Two next, they're gonna shut that down, and that doesn't even look bad on the CMA part. Like if they bullied themselves to win over the CMA and they try to get Take-Two, the FTC would actually have an actual case to go against it. Look what they did to the CMA. They claimed they weren't doing this, they did. Like
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, they have to be very careful how they move going forward. And I don't think this is why I feel like people like Sega's next. And I'm like I talked about this last week. Me and Forte were talking about this, and I'm just like, I don't see how people think they're acquiring Sega. Sega's doing great. And both ZeniMax and Activision agreed to be acquired at a time where they were looking to be acquired. And unless Sega is looking to be acquired, like how is that somehow like that's definitely going to happen? I
the
just don't
thing
see
though
it.
is, Activision, besides all that stuff going on, you can argue if Microsoft never accepted, they went to Microsoft for a reason, and then they knew they had deep pockets.
Right.
And it's like, at the end of the day, especially Sega's, a lot of people think that Sega can't be bought because it's a Japanese company. I've talked to people that would know
it could be dope. Yeah, it could be bought.
One of the biggest things that helps them is that they're not buying a public traded company as Sega. They're gonna buy it off of Sammy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes them a lot easier. It just they have a good relationship with a couple people. I do think Sega, I know for a fact that Sega was looked at one time.
Yeah.
That was before the ABK thing happened. So, is it one of those case scenarios where it's like, look, we'll put the tactics on here day and date. We'll put, that new game was announced on their stage. We'll also put the 3 remake, whatever that's called. We're putting that in Game Pass day and date. So I do think there is enough reason to think, okay, maybe there is something going on between Sega and Xbox. But as far as like buying them, that's different because we don't know how deep that hole goes.
Right. This is what I said last week. This is what I think happened. I think, and we saw the documents, we saw the emails. They definitely looked at Sega, did an analysis, and targeted them as someone they wanted to acquire. I think they shot their shot. I think Sega said no, but kind of in shooting their shot, where they ended up at is that I forgot what the Sega CEO called it when they made the announcement about Super Game. They called it a strategic partnership. I think they did. I think that was the wording of it. So they ended up with a partnership, which has benefited Xbox greatly. If you look at the fact, they look at their last showcase, as you mentioned, 3 Atlas games were revealed there, which is before, like 3 years ago, you couldn't get a single Atlas game on Xbox, period. That kind of shows the level of, even though they may not have acquired them, they did improve the relationship to the point where you're getting those games and they're being marketed on your platform. So you're still getting the benefit of working with Sega. You just don't own them, which I feel like some people just want to buy them just so that like it's a console war thing. They just want to point at Sony and PlayStation fans and say, "Ha ha."
I think the reason I want them to buy them is there's not a lot of people you could talk to that make these high quality JRPGs. And I feel like Sega's the only realistic one that Microsoft can buy. I don't think Bandai Namco would ever sell to them. I don't think Square Enix definitely ain't going to sell to them. I don't think Capcom's ever going to sell to them. Konami most likely not. And to me, Sega is the only hope that Microsoft will ever have a branch, like a true branch of their company in Japan. And then if they buy them, they just throw games. Tango Studio into that branch.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's harder. for Bethesda to monitor and check up and help Tango because they're so far away from all the rest of their studios.
Yeah, and that would be like all the benefits to acquiring Sega for the Xbox ecosystem and all that stuff. It's just I still look at the end of the day, I look at the fact that like Sega's doing great right now. They're doing really good, and Sega, that division that they would want to acquire is like 50% of Sega Sammy's annual revenue. And I just it's when you're doing great and that division's doing great, that's usually, and what we've seen so far, you're not getting a publisher selling that division with these current set of circumstances.
The only issue they'll have buying Sega from Sammy is I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of key people that run Sega that work for Sammy. They'll have to replace that whole infrastructure. Like I do think there will be a semi form of a publisher there with Sega. It's just I think they'll have to hire certain people in that region to take some of the people that's not going to come with them from Sammy. Because I think if they buy Sega from Sammy, I don't think they're picking up the whole thing. They're gonna buy a lot of the they're gonna buy a lot of the gaming outlet, and then the rest they're gonna have to build on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't think about that because they would have to, like, the whole marketing aspect of things, the whole the management side. Well, not necessarily the management of the games, but like there's sections of it that Sammy does handle that they would have to step in and do that, and that's a bit different than acquiring an Activision ABK, where they're going to just continue to keep doing what they're doing anyway, or ZeniMax Media, which does the same thing. So now this would be a little bit different. Like maybe it would need to be under.
Artemis in the chat said Sega CEO said they are not looking to sell at the time. Yeah, Bethesda said the same thing. Look where they're at. Like these companies are never going to come openly and admit that they're looking to be bought ever.
Parsons said the same thing too.
Because at the end of the day, you know, if someone says something like, "Oh, Microsoft's talking to us," that's going to get like, let's say Microsoft. First off, they're probably legally not allowed to tell anyone. Because Microsoft's probably talking to 8 different other companies, and that's going to make the price go up and down depending on where they're at. And not to mention like the morale. Why am I working here? We might get bought by a bigger company, and I might lose my job. Because let's be real here, there's going to be layoffs. There's always layoffs. So when you add as many people that's coming in through Activision, Blizzard, or King, it's going to eventually lead to some form of layoff. Hopefully, it's not a huge layoff, but it's going to happen regardless.
Or if you're a publicly traded company and you admit that you're negotiating, you know, look, first of all these acquisitions, there was never an inkling that what was going to happen right until it was officially announced, because they don't want that kind of stuff getting out, especially if it turns to kind of fall flat and don't turn out, you know, to be an acquisition. If it gets leaked out and then that changes your stock price for good or bad, but then it doesn't happen, like the fallout of that, the end result of that could end up being very, very negative for the company overall over something that didn't turn out to happen at all. So it's just they never really let that stuff leak, and the answer is always going to be no, we're not doing that at this time. But sometimes that's true, that they really aren't looking to be bought at that time, and other times it may be they're negotiating. They just really legally can't say much else outside of no, we're not doing that right now.
It's like, and what's funny is like people don't realize. I know for a fact that Microsoft has approached Ubisoft. They approached Steam at one point. Like all these companies are talking to each other all the time. It's not just Microsoft. How many times do you think PlayStation probably talked to Insomniac before they actually put the ring on? Probably a decade.
I can see that. That was a great deal on their part.
It's every time they buy a game, they make a game for PlayStation. Oh, so you know what you guys think about being bought up from us right now? Like people act like Sony doesn't buy stuff because they'd rather work. No, most of the time I guarantee you they have approached these companies to buy. But when you have a younger person that's really thirsty to make an impact, they're not selling at that time. But guess what will happen? They make 8-9 games. It's been 15 years, and okay, Sony, all right, now take the company now. I'm done.
Take the company now. I'm done. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think in general, it just ultimately comes back to what's best for whatever company at that point. Like, I do think like there was like you said, like Dorian said, there was the rumor that Square was on the table before Activision. I mean, before ABK was, which if you kind of strip it all back and you look at it, a
It
lot
makes
of
sense.
stuff happened with Square as soon as the ABK deal kind of materialized. That's when you saw Square literally divest themselves of all of their Western studios and they sent them over.
Sold it for
It was
dirt
5
cheap.
months after. It was
Yeah,
5
it
months after.
literally right after the fact. So it was almost like Microsoft was, I think it was, that's what probably the deal was. I think Square was looking to get rid of their Western division and Microsoft was willing to buy. That's why you saw all those
Hey,
partnerships
you
with
remember
the,
what I said, like when that happened, that
yeah,
like I thought Embracer was trying to flip it. Like
yeah.
basically they bought it for dirt cheap, knowing that like, hey, once this ABK deal is done, we can sell this. We can sell a good portion of this to Microsoft
To my,
and
yeah.
make a profit off of it. But
And I still think
I
that's
don't
going to happen.
I don't know if it's just with all the instability with Embracer right now. I don't know if Embracer can hold on to it long enough to make that move to sell it to Microsoft later on, nor do I feel like they have the leverage right now to be able to sell it for a profit the
Well, I
way
don't
they
think
did
they'll,
before,
yeah, like they
because
did before.
they've had to like open up more of their company to be sold, like to be have it sold at the stock, which is not a good impression. And they had a big deal with a quote unquote mysterious investor, like no one knows, that was Amazon, that fell through. They Amazon was courting them, making a Tomb Raider TV show or movie, one of those, and they're publishing the game for the IP that they own in the studio that they own. Amazon was definitely that investor, but at some point, I don't know what it was, something spooked Amazon and they backed out of this like $2-3 billion deal, and that really put Embracer in a tailspin. So whatever plans they had, like when they decided they spent 300 million to acquire Eidos Montreal, Crystal Dynamics, 50 IP, and all that stuff. Like,
And
who knows if that's still going to turn out the way that they
I,
thought it did.
unless Microsoft, like, unless they can get like a crazy deal from them, I don't think that they're gonna buy them right off the bat. Like, I think that they're gonna want to see how Crystal Dynamics, interacts with the initiative. Because I do think if they do buy Crystal Dynamics, I think they're gonna merge the initiative Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah,
I don't think Crystal is going to be its own company anymore. Neither that or they'll merge the names, like Crystal Initiative or something like that. I don't know. Maybe they'll do that just for morale.
they could just dissolve the initiative and call it. So like, there's one company that has a name that's like got a little pedigree to it, and the other company is just like, I mean,
I I think
it's nothing so far.
it's going to determine, like, when Fable comes out. If Fable's a solid hit, the company working with Fable's probably going to get bought. And then when,
Eidos Montreal, yeah.
yeah, I think you'll see if these companies work good with the initiative and Playground second team. I think they'll buy these studios just to turn these just to merge the companies. Because if the staff work good, especially Crystal Dynamics, the initiative, they got one of the person who used to lead that company. I do think that, because people think they're going to buy Crystal and Crystal's going to be its own dev. I don't think that's the case. I think if they buy Crystal, all those people that work for Crystal is going to be working for the initiative.
Yeah. I think they'll definitely merge. I think there are studios that they don't want to acquire right now at a very sensitive time period, because then just any additional acquisition in gaming right now could have their detractors like, see, see what they're
Yep.
doing. So they're waiting, but I think there are a number of studios that they're kind of like trying them out, kind of like how you test drive a car before you buy it, like IO Interactive with whatever Dragon game that they haven't announced yet, and What's the name? What's the name of the dev that did the oh, it's the one that's doing Contraband, but it's like I forgot the name of the name of the developer or the games they used to make. I can't remember, but like they're kind of trying them out to. I think Asobo. I think they would love to acquire Asobo,
Yeah,
right? Because
that's the one they
Asobo has
need to
done
buy.
great, but like you just can't acquire them right now because of how it looks. But
Avalanche
once
Studios is that company.
Yes, Avalanche. Thank you. Like so, like I think there are a number of studios that they're working with Xbox Publishing, and it's more than just thank you for making an exclusive game for us. It's kind of like, do we like your culture? Do we like how you work internally? Because like they used to have a great relationship with Moon Studios, and then that didn't turn out too great. Then we found out what was going on at Moon Studios, and it's like, yeah, it makes sense they wouldn't acquire them. All their acquisitions seem to be of studios that, whether you agree with the culture or not, the culture is stable. It could be like they're all different, like Double Fine's different than Ninja Theory, but there's a stable culture of how the studio operates, and everyone understands what's going on there, and there's not a lot of turmoil going on in the ones they do acquire. So I think that they will want to make sure that these studios that they're looking at and making games for them are kind of fitting that profile, so they could go ahead and like, all right, we like how they work, and we can actually leave them alone, and they won't completely screw up. Now they've made some mistakes already with that, and I think that's kind of like with some studios that came in with Bethesda, and stuff was going on that they weren't aware of because of a real lack of communication, in addition to the initiative stuff that they created that studio. I think it seems like their behavior with studios they've created is different than their behavior with the studios that they acquired. Like there's more freedom at the acquired studios than the created ones. Maybe that's just me speculating, but I do think that their idea of like, we want a certain kind of studio that's not going to be difficult to deal with, and I think they're kind of looking for those aspects and features in these studios that they're working with.
Hmm. Yeah, it's wow. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of different ways it can go, honestly, and a lot of people are going to be just looking forward to. But I think I can speak for all of us here in the chat. Well, probably not everybody in the chat. It should be everybody in the chat and everybody on this panel. We just want this over with. Really, just want this over with. Just want the deal to be done, so um Xbox can move forward, and we know exactly what's going to happen with them over the course of the next couple of years. And my biggest thing is I'm just happy that a lot of people talk about consolidation and everything. I just feel like at a certain point we just can't. Corporations should still be able to grow, and I felt like that was kind of part of the argument, is saying that they're too big from not everybody, but from a lot of people, and that their money shouldn't be able to dictate their position in the world. And I'm like, money has dictated a lot of positions in the world, even at the political level. So, and it still happens. It still happens to this day. So, with that being said, let's move over to the last topic. Going to probably be a really quick one, which is really cool because nobody knew who was doing this, but all of a sudden, Call of Duty games from the 360 era, earlier in the Xbox One era, started getting updates. And as of, I want to say as of Monday afternoon, Tuesday at morning, some of these games, namely games like Black Ops 2, had almost 1 million people playing it because Xbox went in and fixed the servers. And when I mean fixed the servers, they made the performance better. They got rid of all the cheating on the
No, they
platform.
didn't.
Some of them. There's still
Some of them,
cheating
not
going
all
on.
of it. Some of them.
My
Look,
brother said he
I
got knifed
own.
by. My brother said he got knifed by a dude that was invisible this
Oh, he
morning.
did. Okay, so they didn't get
I
rid of all
I
of it.
personally got
So-
killed. I'm running on a map by no shot, just died. And then
Oh,
in the
man.
kill cam, I see a guy pointing a pistol at a wall.
Oh man.
and
Which
he
which
just
Call of
shooting
Duty
at
what
a
Call of Duty
wall,
was
and I
this?
see this was Black Ops 1
One?
or 2. It was either Black Ops 1 or 2 because I own them all anyway. So it's just like I played both of them. Just just to kind of jump back in and be like, oh, okay,
Right.
a little nostalgia. And I was just like, as soon as that happened, I was like, nope, I'm good. I was like, yo, they did not fix that cheat, no
So
sir.
the
They
Well,
team
no,
my
yeah.
my brother told me they dramatically fixed it because it used to be every lobby, but he is still running into cheaters every couple games.
Okay, but at least they did something to it. But I mean, I was just like, because it happened the first time it happened. I was like, who shot me? I didn't hear anything. And then I just skipped as soon as I try to get back and respawn as quickly as possible. The second time it happened, I was like, hey, wait, hold up now. And then I see it's a guy just standing in a corner staring at a wall, and I'm like, nah, fam, I'm done. I'm good. I'm good. I'm just going
Someone said
to.
you are not about to ruin my memories of this game.
No, I am good.
So with that being said, what do we first of all, no one knew who did it. Comes to find out it was confirmed that Xbox did do this on their own. That the Back-Compat team, the team that we thought they disbanded because they stopped, working and stuff on all the Back-Compat games. What are you guys' thoughts on basically them just going in and doing this, like, making these games more playable and actually updating them somewhat
It would make sense,
without Activision even knowing about it, honestly, too.
it would make sense because you have something like is iconic as some of those original Call of Duties, and keep in mind, like this can only be done on the Xbox because they have the 360 backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
And knowing that they had that kind of key advantage, and knowing they're about to buy Activision Blizzard King, they never came out openly and say they did it either. So the reason I don't think they've come out openly is because they want the moment that deal's up, they want to announce that with part of it. And we went back and they could still be fixing it. We could just be seeing, the cheating's not fixed 100%, and they're still working on it. I think they're doing this because they know that when they want to have something really big announced for when they actually make the announcement that the merger is completed. And I think that's one of the key highlights. It's like, look, not only did we fix the Call of Duty servers for the older Call of Duty games that's on the 360, they're in Game Pass right now.
But which is going to be funny for other people because I saw that it's these older Call of Duty games are like the hottest selling games on the Xbox right now, and it's like all those people and be like, man, if I would have waited a couple of months.
But they ain't gonna wait. Gamers don't wait for nothing.
Of course, everyone does that. They go, man, if I only would have waited. Oh, Black Friday sale. I just bought this game, but only would have waited. Games in Game Pass. If only would have waited. Everyone does that. But yeah, it's funny. I wonder how long people are gonna play it though, because it's dated. It's a dated game, so people go back to it. Sometimes some people don't care. They go back and they have fun and they enjoy this nostalgia. And some other people go back and just like, man, it felt different when I was younger. It's not what I remember, quite how I remember things. Let me go back to the more modern, the more visually stunning and a little bit more detail and controls and how I can modify things and change things. So, but it's good to see. It's good to see people playing games. Oh, I'm always happy to see that.
Yeah, that's what when I saw 1 million people playing Black Ops 2, I was like, oh boy, how bad has the new Call of Duty's gotten? And
Yeah, I knew it was serious when my brother calls me. Guess what I'm doing? I'm like, what? He's like, I'm playing Black Ops 2 with the boys. I'm like, oh God, when have I ever heard that statement before?
They out here running around with the RC car, man. It's crazy. It was one of the best Call of Duties right there, man. And I think a lot of people are nostalgic about it, and especially, and I think it's a really good one up for Xbox because, like you said, Addict, it's only available because Xbox 360 backwards compatibility, and PlayStation still doesn't have a way to bring PS3 games forward due to the mistakes they made with the cell processor. So, and I'm not really going to say mistakes. They just wanted to go in a different direction, and it just didn't really work out for them when it
There are
comes to like.
emulators on PC that emulate PS3. Get like Sony could do it if they wanted
I
to.
know they
They
could,
don't. They
but
don't.
they don't want to. They don't technically want to put a PS3 inside of. They said, what did they say? The cost of the PS3 module was still like astronomically too much. It's what they're saying, pretty
I
much.
think that's excuses though.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
just don't.
I think at the end of the day, they could do it and probably do it even on a software side where you can't use the physical. I mean, I think people, if you ask someone and said, "Yo, we could do this, but you have to download the digital license that you own," I think people would be more up to that than just like, "Yo, we ain't doing none of that. We're making that choice for you."
Well, that's what
I
Xbox makes you does,
they
and
don't
people don't
use-
realize it.
I don't think they see the monetary value in it. I think Jim Ryan is a sales numbers guy. He don't care about your nostalgia. Am I gonna make money off of getting the work done to make sure that those games are backwards compatible? Probably not, and therefore I'm not gonna bother.
Yeah, but I will.
As
I
a good business decision.
I will say that a lot of people bought that game over the last week on Xbox because it was backwards compatible. $10 for Black Ops 2, $20, I think it was for Black Ops 1 because it was the one that wasn't on sale. It was literally the top sold games on Xbox were old Call of Duty games for like 2 days. And so Xbox made a lot of, so trust me, I don't know how much, but they made a pretty decent amount of money on some games that they don't really sell anymore. So it was cool to see.
I mean,
I think that was a big, what was I say at it?
I say you just look at like something as simple as this deal's already people are already benefiting from it. I mean,
Mhm.
look, they're about to bring Overwatch back to Steam. So do you
Yep.
think that would have happened if Microsoft wouldn't be buying this company?
No, it'll be still stuck on the Blizzard launcher.
No,
So
I think they would have did anyway because they put the latest Call of Duty on Steam as well last year.
I feel like a lot of that is secretly Microsoft behind the curtain pulling strings. Like, and it's not necessarily them coming in there and saying, "Yo, this is what I want you to do." It's they did that initial meeting and they said this is the direction we would want the company to go. And I think that out of good faith, because they pay them a lot of damn money, they're starting that process early because they know the deal is going to go through.
Well, I mean, that's also why you see, Bobby Kotick come out in interviews talking about how he didn't see the Switch as a viable system due to the sales, but he also said that they will not look past Nintendo for their next console when it comes to their next one. Because, and I think in part, like to your point, part of that might has to do with just the mindset that Microsoft has around that to say we want to put our games everywhere and, anyone. And that was, I do truly think that was a big miss by Activision not having it on there. I'm not saying it would have sold like it sold on Xbox or PlayStation, but I can see a lot of people going out and buying a Switch to play Call of Duty, handheld mode, or especially the campaign and stuff like that. It wouldn't be the same experience, but I know people that
I don't
buy
think
games they
anybody
know they're
does.
not going to be.
I don't think anybody that's like serious about Call of Duty to play it like on the
No.
competitive side like is going to get a Switch
I
for
don't-
that. Yeah, the campaign, sure, and be able to access that on the go and hopefully well, I don't think you're going to get cross save or anything like that, but
No, yeah.
but
Good.
yeah, I mean, they don't do that now. Wait, do they? I don't know. Like, no. Wait, you have Call of Duty, this last one on PC and on PlayStation, right?
Yes.
Do you don't have like say the guns that you unlocked on PlayStation? Do you have access to those guns on? Not the ones that are anything that's exclusive, but like you don't have access to those same guns on. Okay, so
just the unlocks in the currency.
yeah, so I don't think they're gonna change how they're doing that anytime soon. So I don't think and then you're not getting this current Switch isn't getting Call of Duty. It's gonna be whatever they're releasing next year.
Yep.
But uh, I still don't see anyone like who's like taking it seriously. I'm a serious Call of Duty player. Yeah, I'm playing on Switch. No, you ain't. You ain't that serious. You ain't that serious a Call of Duty player. You playing on that. Or Switch 2 or Switch Pro or Super Switch, whatever the heck they're gonna call this thing. Um Playing the campaigns and stuff like that. And it will sell. It'll sell like crazy on there, which is all they really care about.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's what I'm
even
saying.
even Bobby even said he was like, he made a mistake in not trying to get um the older cards on Switch when they
I
were
don't
releasing.
I don't think Bobby cares. I think Bobby knows he about to go out with his
Hey,
golden
about to get
parachute.
how big is the
I
golden parachute gonna be?
if that deal canceled tomorrow and Bobby was still at Activision, he would pull all that shit. We ain't going to Switch. Well, you just made that statement. Oh yeah, Bobby that thought he was leaving the company made that statement. Like it's like well, I ain't dealing with none of that. But you could sell all this. Yeah, that's cute. If I wanted to put that game on Switch, I'd have done it by now. Like
Yeah.
I just think he's got to the point.
I agree about that with the current Switch, but I think that whatever the new one is, I've seen some rumors about its level of power. I think it it looks like if they're what they're saying what it is, that it's basically like Steam Deck level power, which ain't great anyway. But I think with that he'll put it on there. He was I mean for him to be like, yeah, I wouldn't put my games in Game Pass and talk like he clearly did not give a F at all on that stand about like mincing words whatsoever. So I think he was being honest on that aspect. But yeah, he don't care. Bobby just wants this deal done so he can get that golden parachute and retire for the rest of his life.
Yeah. All
And
right.
I want that for him too, because then he's not threatening his assistants to have them killed or covering up sexual assault
Jesus
and
Christ.
other stuff. So good, get him out of here, please.
All right. So we know Kotick's out the door, and this is a bonus question that we're gonna get ourselves up out of here. When this deal closes, Mikey Ybarra will be what? Slow-mo.
When this deal closes, he would be the CEO of Activision Blizzard King.
Mm. Okay. Addict.
Well,
Go
hold
ahead.
on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That because I think there's gotta be a transition period for Bobby. So Bobby's not
Right.
gonna be out like it's like the deal is closed and Bobby is literally walking out the door with a box in his hand. It's not that there's gonna be a period, maybe like 6
Supposedly
months
he's going to
or
be
so.
there till August of 2024 or something like that.
And that makes sense. So like there's going to be a transition period, but when he's transitioning to a new CEO, I think it will be Mike Ybarra.
I,
He works because he's the reason they chose him to run Blizzard because he came in after all the tomfoolery. He's not like he's not dirtied by their past and the way the leadership either was a part of all the bad stuff that was going on or covered it up. So he's free of all that. He's clean of all that, and he's a good executive. So it's like he works. He
All right.
whether he has something that none of the other people have, unless they want to go outside the company to hire that CEO, which I doubt.
All right. Addict, same question. Mike Ybarra will be what when this deal closes?
he's still going to be in charge of Blizzard. I don't think he's moving up. I think he's exactly where he's always wanted to be. Blizzard games always like just had a special part in his heart. As far as like Bobby's position, I know people are probably going to disagree with this, but I think they're going to hire that on the outside. I think it's going to look better for them, especially stuff that went on. If whoever comes in and takes that place had nothing, like was not there at all during this transition, and I know people aren't going to agree with this one, but I think this is going to be one of the few times where Xbox puts someone from their own ranks in that, and I think it's going to be Sarah Vaughn.
Ooh. Hmm.
I would love
Sarah running it. Interesting.
Yeah.
I think it would look good, especially like a woman being over all that, especially what's been going on over there. She's been very close to date. But the only argument that I would say is against that is it kind of seems like that they've been grooming her to take Phil's spot.
Right. That's what I was.
And
Yeah.
but that was before the Activision thing happened. And I think that in order to have that run flawlessly, they'll find someone else to take Phil's spot, or at least put her over there temporarily until they find someone they trust to run it, and then
That's what
bring
I
her
would.
back.
Yeah, I can see that
That's
too.
what.
Because
Yeah.
even after like their deal, like you look at like their last two showcases, like they had made their deal announcement. They've had two showcases since then, and we still see the people that we see public facing and during the showcases is Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer. We see her more than we see Matt Booty or Aaron Greenberg or anyone else that's in leadership. She is always either Phil. If it's not Phil, it's her. So I kind of feel like even after the acquisition, they still like really saw her as. I mean, who knows what they're really thinking internally?
Yeah,
But
because
I
at the
think
end of the
it's
day,
definitely
all
aligned.
these decisions was made without knowing they were going to end up taking on Activision,
Right.
Blizzard, and King. And I think you're going to have three, whoever runs King, because I don't know, but you're going to have Mike Ybarra, whoever runs King, and either maybe Sarah Bond, or maybe they promote someone from within, or take. I just think they're going to put someone over there they trust until at one they find someone that they know can go over there. Unless Mike Ybarra wants it, but I don't think Mike Ybarra is going to want it. Maybe they promote Rob Ferguson. Maybe he takes over. Like,
And
I've
that,
seen some people think that Rod would be better in Matt Booty's role than Matt Booty, which I don't know. I can't say I disagree with that, but
and
it
yeah,
just depends on what these individuals want. Are they
Right.
happy with managing a studio? You know, look at Mike Ybarra. I've known Ybarra for a while. I know that one of the things that he always loved was Bethesda games. He's been talking about Bethesda games since I've known him for years.
yeah.
And now he's in charge of Bethesda. I don't see him just willingly let that go and have to deal with the Call of Duty fiasco stuff and King. Like, I feel like he is happy dealing with only the games that he loves.
Mhm.
But
And
Blizzard, before Blizzard merged with Activision, they used to be very different. They used to not release a game until it was absolutely ready and had a certain level of quality. And if you talk to a lot of, if you listen to a lot of the people that work at Blizzard, and left due to what they felt was interference from Activision, that they felt like Blizzard is no longer the developer that they used to be. If now, yes, sure, Mike could be running just Blizzard, but if it's running just Blizzard with the way that Blizzard hasn't been able to do a lot of the things that they wanted to do, then couldn't he influence how Blizzard is ran much better by running the whole show?
I
And
feel
then
you,
making
but I
sure
don't.
that
I don't think Mike Ybarra wants to run the whole show. But because if he's running the whole show, who he got to talk to? Like, he's got to have way more. Like, here's the thing. I don't think Mike. I don't think if they try to make him go to the league, I think he'll leave the whole company.
Oh well,
Like,
yeah, you don't want that.
he wants to do what he does and ride off into the sunset. I don't think he wants to even, because if he's part of the whole company, he's got to talk to Microsoft way more. And I know for a fact there's
You don't
not
want
bad blood, but there's tension between them.
there's some problems with Mike and some people in leadership, is what
Yeah,
you say?
so I think as long as they let him in his lane and don't wiggle the road too much, he will stay. But the moment they cause waves, he's gone.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because I'm not joking. Like, that dude loves the Blizzard games. Almost
I know
all.
you saw when he was on Mixer before all that stuff happened. You always saw
Like,
him.
You could
playing
argue
Blizzard
he's
stuff.
tweeting more about Diablo than Rob Ferguson is, the leader of the Diablo team. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was gonna ask about Rob Ferguson, but we kind of answered you. You kind of said it in the midst of that, so we'll just
I
move
can
on.
see him taking over Bobby's spot too. Because here's the Rob Ferguson and Mike Ybarra are both very well good for that job. It's just, I could see Mike be willing to, because at the end of the day, like, Mike Ybarra probably won't get like a whole lot more benefits besides making more money leading all of them. I think that would be more of a climb from Rob Ferguson's area than Mike Ybarra's area. I think Rob might actually want to run an entire set of studios than that. And I don't think it's going to be like that. I don't think they're going to have one person rule them all. I think there's going to be 3 people running all 3 companies, and they're all talking to one person at Microsoft.
Sarah Bond.
Yeah, most likely either Sarah Bond or Sarah Bond's going to take Activision, and they're going to talk to someone on Phil's team.
Mm.
Well, I think that to put a nail in this topic, that whoever they have replacing Bobby is gotta be somebody that is completely innocent of the things that caused them to be in the situation they were in the first place. There's gotta be
That's why I
somebody that
feel
has
like
nothing to do with any of it.
that's why I feel like they'll bring someone from the outside. Because the thing, you can get someone like Mike Ybarra that's been there recently, but at the same time, like you're probably gonna want someone that's not been there. Like to me, you're gonna want someone that's fresh out the pot on something. And that's why I feel like a Sarah Bond makes the most sense, because she is in that kind of position. She's been working in that kind of area already, so there won't be a whole lot of training going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Like because realistically, you're gonna have to deal. And let's be honest, Microsoft has to deal with whoever they put over there, because I do think they're gonna have a little bit more of a hands-on with Activision because of the stuff that went down. I don't think they're just gonna let them go off into the sunset and work on their own stuff. Like they're going to,
They gotta work on the culture.
they're going to pick the successors themselves.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Slow-Mo, to go to your conversation earlier, you're talking about Activision, Blizzard, and PC and mobile. Mobile for Activision is 1.9 billion. PC is 1.25 billion. Consoles is 1.19 billion. So really interesting stuff. And that's only over the last 6 months leading up to June 30th.
Yeah.
So
that
the first
that
half
was
of the year.
that was all of ABK, right? As far as
all of ABK revenue.
Yeah.
Which is just roughly over what 3.4 billion basically in 6 months. So cash cow, bro. Cash cow.
Half of what they spent on ZeniMax.
Basically, they're going to make ZeniMax money back in the first couple of years after this acquisition goes through. So, well, first of all, really great show. Really appreciate everybody that showed out. Shout out to the 74 people that were here today. Really appreciate that. I also want to say thank you to our amazing guest, Gaming Addict of the Iron Lords podcast. You guys most likely know who he is and where you can find him, but he has another channel that I definitely want you to check out because it's blowing up, and I really appreciate him.
Well, I wouldn't say blowing up. It's definitely improving.
Well, when you're going from 0 to where you are now, that's considered blowing up.
Can I put it in your chat?
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I wasn't just gonna throw a link in there without asking.
Yeah, go ahead. It's also in the description too. So if someone goes down into the very top of the description page too. So
definitely go and watch. I want you guys to go watch my videos back to back. So have a good time over there, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. And Slow-Mo, amazing job as always, man. Really appreciate your energy and stuff that you bring to the show. Please let everybody know where they can find you and where you don't make videos.
I do make videos occasionally. Occasionally, okay. Like I'm gonna come out with some stuff. I'm probably gonna do a lunchtime with Slow-Mo tomorrow because I'm going on vacation starting Saturday, and I won't be back until next Friday. So again, that's a kind of an announcement. We don't know what we're gonna do with DPS next week. It won't be on Thursday, that's for certain. What we end up doing, I have no idea because I'm supposed to host, and so Thursday's out of the question, and Friday I don't know when I'll be home on Friday. So maybe Saturday, maybe we'll skip a week. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I'm gonna do a lunchtime with Slow-Mo tomorrow because if not, then that's like over 2 weeks of not doing anything on my channel. I don't want to do that. So come through tomorrow if you're free, and we'll play something, and we'll discuss some things. Do you want to do the channel members?
Yeah. If you got yours up already?
Yeah, I got mine.
Go ahead and go with it.
All right, so we want to again. First off, we want to say that we appreciate everybody that is a channel member, and if you want to become a channel member, you just hit the join button. You know, it's right there on the screen. You know, don't be shy. But we do appreciate you guys that have chosen to support us in this way. And with that, I want to thank Babe, Retardio, Donnell Brown, DexFlex27, Dragonheart Yobi, Enrique, Hargeet Shani, Truth Serum, Maradimus, Ramon Terrell, Homie One Kenobi, Game Forte, Corey
Homie
Hill.
One Kenobi, I love that name.
It's a great. I normally say it like a Jedi, I'd be like Homie One Kenobi. Like I normally say it like that, but I didn't. But anyway, yeah, it's an awesome name. Corey Hill, Stardust Cicero, and that guy Simity.
Yeah, and same thing over here. Channel members on this channel: Brat Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Darnell Brown, Arodimus, Dragonheart Yobi, Stardust Acero, Ramon Terrell, Hargi Shani, Corey Hale, Slumbo Backslap, DJ Oris, and that guy Smitty. Like Slumbo said earlier, really appreciate you guys and all the love and support. And dude, we wouldn't do this without y'all. You guys are amazing, and this is our own little community. And make sure you keep on rocking out, and we'll keep on rocking it out too. But with that being said, guys, you guys have a great week. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the games. If it's hot where you're at, stay in the house. Air conditioning's your best friend. And have a good weekend.
If you have power.
Oh, if you have power. If you don't have power, go outside and get as close to water as possible. You guys have a great weekend. Later.
Peace.